What is up, everybody? Welcome to another day here of the RSL. I'm Tasteless, and joined with me all day today is State. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. We're right at the half point here in the RSL. Day 2 of the playoffs. Day 1 was kind of full of bangers, man. Classic versus Bjorn had some really epic games.
Yeah.
Sham versus Clem was exciting, and now we got 2 more good best of 5s.
Classic versus Bjorn was insane. And it's funny because I only got to cast the first 2 games. We took a little break, and I'm like, well, this is going to probably be a 3-0, and then we'll move on into the the next thing here. But instead, it was incredible. It was an amazing series. So yeah, looking forward to today. I think today should be one of the longer days here for RSL. Both these matches we have coming in here are looking pretty tough, pretty good.
herO versus SHIN and herO versus Reynor. I feel like herO versus SHIN, those are 2 pretty explosive players with their play styles. herO's a really aggressive Protoss in PvZ. He doesn't really kind of play like the slow macro style of Classic, but I could absolutely see Reynor going to like a game 4, a game 5, long drawn out macro games. So I'm excited to get started, man.
Yeah. We are sponsored here by Archon Studio, guys. Because of their support, we were able to double the prize pool here for Season 1 of the RSL. Check out their StarCraft tabletop miniatures game. It's going to be available for pre-order later this year, but they've got a whole bunch of other great products on their website. Obviously, not just stuff for StarCraft, stuff for other games that I'm absolutely in love with as well. So we very much so appreciate their support.
And of course, if you want to be a part of supporting the RSL, go to patreon.com/Revive SC2. We got all sorts of tiers and rewards, not just the ones that you see on screen. And, you know, we're kind of in a new era of StarCraft II right now, no publisher support, so anything you can do to help RSL keep StarCraft II alive is much appreciated.
Yeah, this is the nature of StarCraft II in these days. We don't have publisher support, so if you guys are enjoying what you're seeing, consider supporting us. It would mean the world to us.
And of course, you support on Patreon and get a 20% discount on all Tasteless TV merch. Yeah, Tasteless, that even includes the RSL hoodie, the RSL mug, the RSL t-shirt, and the pins.
You would be a fool not to get that merch with a 20% discount on tastelessreds.com.
You're basically making money.
Yeah.
You're going to buy it anyway, right?
The economists are baffled by this principle. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys, check it out. Support our seasonal event. We love doing this. We're super excited to be here with you guys. This is the schedule. So we're on the 4th here on Friday. We're going to have 2 more days. So we're going to be going into the weekend here, Saturday and Sunday, same time, same place, and then we're going to have 3 days off. We'll come back on Thursday and bang out 4 more days, and then we will have finished our very first season of the RSL.
Yeah, and those final 4 days are going to be exciting, too. I'm looking forward to that finals day on July 13th. As the playoffs really ramping up, man. I feel like the double elimination format that we've got here is just so much fun. As we look back on day 1, Classic versus Bjorn and Sham versus Clem, Classic and Clem. The victors out of that one, but for Bjorn and Sham, they're not out yet. They did fall to the losers bracket. This is a double elimination tournament. And today we're going to find out which other 2 players are going to make it to the winner's semis.
Yeah, so herO and SHIN, and then Cure and Reynor here today. Bjorn and Sham should be a good match, by the way, there in the losers match. It's so far, out of all the players that I've seen in this tournament, I got to say, I think Clem looking maybe the strongest. Looking almost like a, supercomputer or something, right? Like almost to perfection, the way he's playing the game.
Yeah, he looked scary, frankly, against a Sham who was just playing out of his mind before we went on break for Homestory Cup. I mean, he got top in his group with, what, Ragnarok and Solar, I think, were both in there. Like, him getting in first place, I think nobody really saw it coming. I know that Sham is good at ZVZ, but my goodness. And so for Clem to be able to dispatch him so quickly with a clean 3-0, it didn't even look like Sham was making mistakes or was playing suboptimally.
Yeah, it's one of those interactions where, like, you watch what one player's trying to do and the other player shuts it down so perfectly. I almost feel like, okay, well, you just can't do that. Like, that just doesn't work. But it felt like no matter what Sham threw at Clem, I mean, Clem just looked basically perfect. So coming up here, we're going to have a PVZ.
Yeah, PVZ, herO versus SHIN. I'm pretty excited for this one, man. I feel like herO, even though Classic won the last GSL, in my mind, herO is still kind of the Protoss to beat in the world right now. I still see him as kind of the trendsetter. Classic is... I think Gemini said this yesterday. He said the Classic has in some ways replaced Stats as like the standard, safe, macro, late-game Protoss player who you see him play in the GSL Finals and PVZ. You see him play PVT yesterday, and he just always goes for basically the same bones of a build, makes very minor adjustments, and tries to play for the end game. herO, he's explosive, he's aggressive, he likes getting in your face, he has an insane range of builds, and we're going to see what he has in store for us today as game one is loaded up. SHIN versus herO. herO, the blue Protoss in the bottom right, SHIN, the red Zerg in the top left.
Yeah, going into this match here, let's see, you know, what kind of gameplay SHIN is going to go for. You know, herO, it's very, very hard to get a read. I think he is, out of all the Protoss players, maybe the best at build order randomization. We know he has a proclivity to be aggressive, and maybe has some of the best micro that there is for Protoss players. You know, he's always able to eke out as much damage as is physically possible to do. But yeah, when it comes to SHIN here, oh, hold on a second.
Whoa! All right, so this is one of these maps, one of the fan-voted maps from Patreon called Antimatter. There is a mineral wall that leads into a backdoor expansion here for herO, and SHIN is proxying a hatch to mine those minerals out and gain access to herO's main base.
I love this. This is so cool. Okay, so obviously it's a strategy that's only tailored to this map. We were talking about, you know, herO's build order randomization and how it's hard to predict what he's going to do. Doesn't really matter, actually, in this game, because this is all going to come down to whether or not herO can identify what's happening. Now, he comes in there, he checks the natural, he doesn't see a hatchery. The pool timing is not unusual, so there's no tell there. But you may still be wondering, like, I didn't see a hatch. I mean, did he just preemptively make it in a third? I'm not so sure. The probe is going to go there, and I think once, well, you know, I guess the truth is, there's two spots you could take a third at, right? So he's going to check one. He doesn't have any way to confirm what's happening. He may suspect it, although right now herO's behavior doesn't telegraph that.
Yeah, herO with his probe is just kind of scouting the corners right now. SHIN's already pulling, what, 3-4 drones to start mining out those patches. herO's like, did you take the gold? No, you didn't take the gold. Where is this going to be? And now, looking at the minimap, it seems like herO, he's catching on to what is taking place here. He finds the minerals as they're being mined, and now the clock is ticking down. The gateway and the core just finished up. Stalker gets started, Work Gate gets started. Shield battery is morphing in the main base. So herO, he's getting all the pieces that he needs, but this is going to be a lot of Zerglings coming his way.
Yeah, he's going to make these two more gateways over here. The final mineral patch is going to be mined out in a second. And once he gets in there, I mean, it's going to be very, very difficult to actually curb the damage. There's a Baneling's Nest being made as well. One Queen pops out. And, you know, this one Stalker's going to come down here and try to take a fight. The Queen's going to lead the charge over here. The Ling's going to come in just behind that.
Yeah, Sentry coming up, as well as 3 more gateways here for herO.
Why is he
at the
hitting
natural
the pylon
expansion?
there?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the play is. Maybe he doesn't want herO to be able to get some shield batteries up on this region of the map. But in any case, SHIN doing some work right now on these pylons. Now going for the links, trying to get us around, but he's in range of the shield battery. One of the shield batteries will, I believe, killed right there. But so far, the defense not too bad here for herO. SHIN maybe had an opportunity to get us around on that sentry, but couldn't make it happen. Speed nearly done.
Yeah, the Lings, I mean, without Ling's speed done yet, they can't quite maneuver the way that you'd want them to. They're going to run back up into the main, and basically, this is forcing herO to seesaw his attention from his main to his natural, now back into the main. Now with Ling's speed, one force field will lock this out, but at the same time, he can't come in here and defend these pylons and gateways.
Yeah, and there's no energy recharge available for that shield battery too, so the energy you see is the energy you get. Right now, herO's gateway units finally able to work their way back into the main base. The probes are getting pulled. The shield battery nearly out of energy. Probes drilling into the assimilator, trying to get less surface area against those Lings.
Dude, he's going to hatch
but
right.
So many workers are going down.
These Banes are going to end up detonating right on top of the Sentry and Stalker. There's one more that's shot down there. I don't know if SHIN has quite enough here. The Queens are going to tank a decent amount of damage, but it looks like they're going to fall. SHIN is now taking the pylon out at the natural. More Banes are going to be morphing in over here as we have drones actually long distance mining. I kind of forgot about those being in the game.
Yeah, the pylon's down. herO does still have these 2 gateways in the main base, and with only 14 probes, I mean, you can't really afford to produce off more gateways than this, but it feels like herO militarily might be stabilizing. 4 adepts, more warping in, a sentry, a stalker, and a zealot goes a long way towards dealing with these lings. Is SHIN gonna try and transition, or is he gonna go for a kill move?
The problem is that Overlord being killed off actually supply blocks him, so he can't make any lings, and that includes any extra Banes besides the ones that we see about to hatch here.
Oh, he gets a surround with the Lings. Force field able to keep the Banelings away, but those are big Baneling hits on all of those Adepts. Meanwhile, more Banelings in the main base kill 8 more workers of herO. He is down to 9 probes. The Zealot warping in, but it's out of range of the shield battery, and that's gonna be it. GG. SHIN winning game number 1 with a pretty cool build there on Antimatter.
That was pretty dirty. I like the cheese. I really appreciate any strategy that is so map specific. I actually thought for a little bit there herO was going to hold that when the 2 queens got shot down, but you can see, especially when the cybernetics core is killed off, you don't have any useful tech to fight Ling Bane. You can only make zealots.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's really nothing else you can do. And it's funny because I thought once the queens are picked off, maybe that would be all you need. But you know, the cybernetics core is this funny Achilles heel. That occasionally, and we see this like with Roach Ravager rushes too, where like you try to drive in and it looks like the Protoss is going to hold, and then the core goes down, and now you can't make a lot of the units that are actually useful in a fight like this. Anyways, SHIN takes game 1.
Yeah, that was a fun map number 1, man. I'm thinking back to it. I feel like if herO had spotted that sooner, because remember he checked the gold base and he was looking at the potential 3rd base to see where the hatchery went down. If he knew maybe like 30 seconds, even 15 seconds earlier, what the plan was there from SHIN, he might have actually just been able to fully wall that off. Like, he made 3 more gateways, right? 2 or 3 more gateways. In any case, you know, map number 1 going to SHIN, and now we're loaded up onto Tokamak for game 2. SHIN spawning in the top right as the red Zerg herO, and the bottom left is the blue Protoss.
So we should have a very different game this time around, although we do have a drone moving out here on the map.
Is he going for the gold?
Yeah, I think he is.
Where are you going, SHIN? I mean, he's up to some trickery in this series.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, he's going the long way, so I would imagine that he's probably going to go for... okay, really? What is the deal? He sent a drone out.
It's certainly going to be a proxy hatch, right? Is he going to do like a 3rd hatch in the Wallen of... Is he going to try and block the Nexus?
Maybe he is going to hide a 3rd hatch, but he wanted to get the drone out so early that there's no way an early probe scout would see this. Because some Protosses, they do send the probe out right away to block the first hatchery.
Yeah, I feel like right now SHIN's going to give herO a taste of his own medicine and try and block the hatchery here, the natural expansion.
So, okay, it's a hatch block, but it's a hatch block on the 3rd hatch.
Right.
Sorry, I'm not a hatch block, excuse me, a Nexus block. But a lot of times we see this with the 2nd hatchery. This is going to be with the 3rd, which is interesting.
He's going to be able to macro up nicely back at home. And herO, he is pulling 4 probes. A little bit late with a 4 probe pull. Usually you kind of see herO just kind of doing this immediately when he sees the hatch go down.
Yeah, and this was extractor and then pool. So I don't think I've actually casted this build.
I've played against it on the ladder. I really don't like it. I don't like it when Zergs build hatcheries in my base. It really throws me off. But
well, it's one of the great ways to absolutely control the behavior of the Protoss early on.
Yeah.
You kind of don't have any other options than to do the dance that you're forced to do with this. So 5 probes in a Zealot will cause the damage to drop higher than the hatchery can regen it here. So he does a last-second cancel. The Nexus is going to start. The drone can continue to scout. The first adept is being made. And, you know, the rhythm of herO's initial build order is certainly thrown off. It is all at the expense of, you know, the minerals lost from canceling the hatchery.
Yeah, and for SHIN, I think it's a pretty reasonable trade. I mean, in a more normal game, herO would have thrown down his Stargate, like, what, 20 seconds ago or something? So the fact that he's only just now building the Nexus, he's only just now getting this Adept, the whole macro of herO is just completely thrown off. It's almost a 30-second late Stargate coming in here. And so for SHIN, yeah, he lost a drone. I guess it's not lost yet, but inevitably it will be lost. And you lost some minerals there with a canceled hatch. I absolutely think that's worth it. These Lings are going to get their surround on the Adept, but it will shade away to safety. And for now, SHIN, he could just safely macro up on 2 hatches.
Yeah. And, you know, this is also at the sacrifice of not having a very quick 3rd hatchery. So I'm curious how the whole pacing of this game is going to feel from here on out. He's got the 1 Zealot here to basically confirm block a 3rd hatch. And by the way, I think it's a probe at 12 o'clock. He's got something blocking up there. So this is kind of a funny, so this is a funny situation because you actually can't take a base. And you certainly can't get a drone out safely without Adepts likely to yeah, look at this. This is a sick tactic. So this sort of answers my question that I was like asking out loud a minute ago. Is like, what is the pacing of this game going to feel like? Well, this is kind of a scary situation here for the Zerg. Only just now has the 3rd hatchery started, which is considerably later than he would have wanted.
Yeah, that's a really cool move by herO, getting some extra utility out of that Zealot and also pulling the probe. Sometimes you'll see Protoss players, they'll go core into Nexus instead of Nexus into core, and that allows them with a probe and the initial Adept to block the 3rd hatch of Zerg, and it just really derails their build. And so I like herO just kind of using that same stratagem in a different situation here to very great effect. Unfortunately for this Oracle, it's going to take a bad angle, catching a lot of Queen Fire, just going to work its way all the way into the corner. No drone damage going in, but you know, for SHIN, he hasn't really been able to get all that much done. I think if he got the 3rd hatch down when he was hoping to get the 3rd hatch down, he would be pretty happy with his position. But as it is right now, I feel like herO's kind of equalized. I mean, his 3rd Nexus is not very far off the 3rd hatch timing.
Yeah, so as far as growth goes, I mean, I think this is a pretty comfortable game right now here for herO. We've got the Evo chamber being made here in 14 Lings. The Oracle, I think if you have 2 Queens there, you can basically keep that stuck there for a while, or at least it's going to lose some shields when those finally regen, and it tries to get out. So this was a 3rd Nexus actually before the Twilight. So again, the tempo of the whole game is really interesting. Now somehow this Oracle, okay, I thought it was going to live. I was about to say somehow this Oracle lives. I almost can't believe it, but it does get shot down to the last second. Adepts are out, they snipe a drone. 4 drones over here and not a lot of coverage. A stun goes off, but that's going to be it for that Oracle.
That Oracle also goes down there. herO was not able to move it into the corner. These Adepts, he's focused on microing them instead. He is able to take down 6 drones in total, but for 2 Oracles, and I want to say maybe 2 Adepts with many deep in the orange and the red, I think you wanted a lot more there from herO, and I wonder what the tech is going to be out from that Twilight Council, because we now have 8 Adepts on the field, so I think it might just be Glaives. No, he starts up Blink, but he's made a lot of Adepts tasteless. I'm not sure how well this third base can be defended. This is the lone Oracle that survives.
Yeah, he drives the Lings away. These Lings are not going to be used to defend just yet. Oh my God, the Zealot's still here? Remember this guy from the start of the game?
This is where he lives now.
Remember this guy that denied the hatchery at the start of the game? He's still parked down here. The Adepts are going to come in now. Very good targeting here on the drones. He gets 6 more kills. The Lings can't quite get the surface area needed to take out the rest of the Adepts because the wedge between the minerals is so good. So he's going to come in now. He's going to take out, what is this going to be, 17 drone kills by the time this is done?
How did this get so many? I'm baffled. How did 18 drones go down? The Oracle literally flew into the Queens, casted Revelation, and died. That was just the pure Adepts. I have never seen 8 glaiveless Adepts at a timing like that get 18 drone kills. That is absurd, but the Oracle is down. There's no shield battery here. You see herO, he's scrambling, trying to get another Oracle out on the map, but there isn't really much of an answer for these Lings. Are we gonna have hold position probes? Is he gonna try and mineral walk them? There's no Oracle yet. Sentry warps in. I guess it's not too much of a disaster. Not many probes have gone down, but that's a lot of dead Stalkers. I think 2 or 3 at least fell.
Yeah, he tried to go for hold position. He actually only got 3 probes, which is, this Zealot's still here.
What is this game?
There's a chance that he just transfers drones over there. Oh, he's gonna leave. He got this far, and he decided to go AWOL. He's gonna go down as a coward.
That is not going to Zealot Valhalla.
That's right, yeah.
Poor Zealot.
So, yeah, we've got Ling Hydra coming here. I don't know how much punch is going to be packed with the Ling Hydra here because so many drones were killed off. But, you know, Hydra Ling Bane can be devastating if you're able to get in there and do that damage. We also have Zealot Charge coming up here as well.
Yeah, normally I would feel like because of the damage that herO has gotten done, he would be ahead. I mean, you could see the income advantage. The differential has been huge at a couple of different stages in the game because of the third base getting delayed, and then also the glaive adepts, or not glaive adepts, the adepts just without glaives getting so much damage done. And do we just have enough stalkers to deal with this? I mean, 22 stalkers is a lot of stalkers, Tasteless, and that's not a lot of Ling Hydra. We literally have more stalkers than Lings on the map right now.
Yeah, this is going to be tricky here for SHIN to hold. The Lings are going to counterattack, but there's definitely enough stalkers here. I like the Zealot Warp in there as well. He blinks forward. He's going to thin that number out. And now the pressure here at the front is getting pretty scary. You know, there is a fourth base that has some drones there. It seems like herO really wants to lean into this position right now. He's getting a gateway out here. He's laying down some stasis wards. Actually, that last Ling does trigger that. And these Lings are going to come in here as well, try to clean this out. I think this could be the tipping point. I don't know that he can actually survive.
That was an ambitious blink forward by herO, though. With the force field, he is able to shoo away those Hydras, so the arc is pretty good now with these Stalkers actually using both the force field and the hatchery to kind of block as that gateway is finishing up. But this trade, a lot more cost efficient here for SHIN. I think herO might have been a little bit trigger happy with that blink forward, Tasteless, because this is now getting cleaned up.
Yeah, well, you know, the reinforcement's going to come in because there was just enough Lings there that nothing could actually warp in time to defend itself. And so now he's going to be driven away from this position, likely to lose this launching pad for an attack with the double pylons and the gateways. And from here, I think the counterpunch could be fatal.
Yeah, I'm not sure what herO could possibly do to stabilize. He has no Forge, no Robo, no Templar Archives. It is just Charge and Blink Stalkers, and we have maybe 6 Stalkers on the map right now. He's warping in some more Zealots, but SHIN's army supply is triple what herO's got. These Stalkers are going to fall to the Lings. What a wonky game. I feel like it's even hard for the players in the moment like this to try and understand their position. As herO, he's trying to get a Templar Archives out, but this push is coming in. I think this might be GG, Tasteless.
Yeah, I think this is over. One of the most unusual games tempo-wise that I've ever casted. Beautifully done there by SHIN. I actually think there's a world where that the attack from herO could have worked had he not gone so hard. He basically had to go back and defend against the Lings, maybe keep a better arc with the Stalkers. You know, there's a period where like you're winning so hard that you blink on top of them and close it out, and it felt like he blinked in too soon.
Yeah.
He blinked into damage.
Yeah, I feel like the blink might have been the Achilles heel right there for herO, but it is hard in a moment like that one because, I mean, we can see everything, right? And we're having a hard time following where the advantages are for the players because it was such a wonky game. Imagine being herO or SHIN in that situation, and you also have like the fog of war. You don't know exactly like how many drones you killed, although you know it's very good, but you don't know if that was enough to make up for the lead that SHIN had going into that moment. And so for herO, he felt like he was probably able to get a lot more done with that blink, but it definitely came back to bite him. I'm not sure about that one, man. SHIN now leading 2-0 in this series.
Guys, if you're enjoying the RSL, consider joining our Patreon. It's patreon.com/revive SC2. We want to keep the history of StarCraft II alive, and we want to do it in a professionalized broadcast with a cool studio setup with, you know, graphics, casters that are actually together in person to bring you a better experience, a better broadcast. We've got a whole bunch of different tiers. Any kind of support you can give is very much appreciated. The more support you give, the more participation you get in the tournament. We are hoping if we get the Patreon high enough that we can eventually unlock a live event here in Seoul.
Yeah, that would be really exciting. Anything you can contribute would be greatly appreciated here.
And guys, we're going to be going to a short little break here. When we come back, the best of 5 with SHIN and herO continues on. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I think we had a short outage there in our broadcast. Sorry about that. We had experienced that once or twice yesterday. The good news is that the players are unaffected by this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're in a whole separate system, so they're not going to get dropped or booted out there. And so we're going to be ready to go into game number 3. Right now, SHIN with a very one-sided 2-0 lead.
Yeah, in kind of a surprising fashion game. These have been two very weird maps. Both map 1 and map 2. Both times, you know, we had proxying hatcheries. And game number 1, it was the hatchery on, what's that map? Antimatter. To mine out the mineral wall and go for a Ling Flood. And that was pretty exciting. And then I thought we were going to go back to a standard game. But in game number 2, we had a proxy third hatchery. Hatch blocking the Nexus.
Yeah, I've never casted that game.
That is something that like low GM players do, and it just like tortures me every day of my existence.
It's definitely a build that's in the ecosystem, but yeah, like some casts I have, I'm like, okay, I've literally cast this game before, you know, almost from start to finish. But that one was a little unusual. Made for a kind of an interesting ending where it looked like maybe herO was going to be able to take it, but got a little bit too headstrong.
Yeah, there was a point where he had more Stalkers than Lings, and he's trying to basically do a Stalker all-in with one Oracle. And then, yeah, the Blinks were quite ambitious. The Hydras actually got some pretty good trades in there, even with the Force Fields in the hatchery blocking the Concave for the Zerg. And now we have herO one map away from being knocked down to the lower bracket, which is not really what I had expected here in the RSL.
I thought if this was going to be one-sided, that it would be with herO crushing.
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect to SHIN, of course, but I guess we're off of this recent GSL victory. He's looking very strong. But yeah, I mean, let's see if herO can come back. Obviously, there is the losers match, so he's not eliminated if he goes down. But right now, yeah, SHIN looking extremely strong. herO in both games basically unable to do whatever the build order he is planned for. Game 1, that cheese is just like, okay, nothing else matters now. You have to stop this Ling all in. And then in game 2, kind of a late third hatchery block, delaying the Nexus and making just for a very different feeling PvZ.
Yeah, and you could tell that it was kind of affecting him too. You know, I usually try not to go too much into the psychology of the players, but we were talking before we went to that series about how herO has some of the best control, if not the best control, with Protoss players in the game today, right? And then we watched that game number 2 where everything was just so funky. And he's losing oracles in ways where you would never expect to see herO lose an oracle. And it happened.
He was literally like drunk driving an oracle like through Queens, like right on top of him.
Multiple times. Like we had 4 oracles made in that game, I think, and all 4 of them died. Even the last one, like trying to get the stasis trap off, that basically did nothing. So I feel like SHIN's approach in this series of just doing really wild and crazy styles seems to kind of be throwing herO off of his game, and he's going to have to very quickly get that under control and get back on the rails, because game 3 is loading up We're going to Kill Switch, another one of the Patreon voted maps here for map number 3 and for this best of 5. SHIN spawning on the left side, leading 2-0 as the red Zerg, herO on the right as the blue Protoss.
So this has been a map that's made for some pretty fun games. You are almost claustrophobically close to your opponent on this map, which makes timing attacks strong, but also kind of predictable, so to speak.
Yeah, it's very... I feel like momentum matters a lot in the early game on this map, because if you can leverage any kind of early game advantage into a push, we've seen it already in the RSL multiple times. It can just be so deadly. You can snowball out of control because it's like 2 screens away, your third to their third.
Yeah, and so we'll see if that's going to be a factor here as well, but it's just something that's worth pointing out. For now, you know, SHIN is going to go for hatchery first. I would imagine we're going to see gas and then pool here. And over here for herO, it's going to be an inevitable fast expand here with the pylon and gateway here on the low ground.
Yeah, I'm excited for herO to actually get to play his game here in map number 3. Both in map 1 and in map 2. Map 1, he has to cancel the Nexus and throw down 2 more gateways to try and survive the all-in. Map number 2, he has a hatchery in his natural expansion, so he can't expand. His Stargate is like 20, 30 seconds late. But here in map number 3, because SHIN is more or less just playing standard, we will see the game plan that herO actually does have for Kill Switch.
Yeah. Well, you know, maybe SHIN does something else kind of crazy coming in here and tries to make it one of these games where he's really dictating how everything goes. But for now, look, I mean, there's not a whole lot to remark on, right? We're kind of getting into the development phase here. And you would know better than me, State. On this map, the Zerg is really required to take a specific base for the third base. You know, some maps there's 2 or even 3 locations that all kind of make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen people play on this map, but because it's not the ladder, I don't really have any games on it myself. Like I opened up a custom game lobby and was just like moving around, like where can a Reaper go, where are the Blinkstalker spots, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not sure. Looking at the mini map, you can see there's, I believe, a mineral wall by the natural expansion. So in theory, you might be able to take the top left base here in SHIN, but that just... It feels like any expansion you take is going to be awkward. Another thing you could potentially do is there's if you look at the bottom left, there's this gigantic gold mineral wall in that unlocks the bottom left base, which is another spot you could take. There's also kind of a quote-unquote defensive Xel'Naga watchtower that you can use, but SHIN just going to opt to take the center base. And I feel like of all the Zergs in RSL, I'm the most confident in SHIN being able to hold on to this one, because he usually is one of these Zergs that focuses very much on the early and the mid game of ZVP. I think back when Roach Ravager was all the rage in earlier stages of Legacy of the Void, and how he was just an absolute killer with those compositions. And so I feel like if anyone is going to be able to hold off the pressure that herO is doubtless going to try and levy on him with this forward third base, it's going to be SHIN.
Okay, the 2 Adepts are going to run up over here, and he's just going to basically cancel that shade and try to keep them back. The third base should be starting very soon right now. These Lings actually managed to pin down for a second these Adepts. And, you know, this is not the trade I think that you really wanted here as SHIN. You know, when the Oracle comes up here, he did take out a couple of Lings. The Oracle's going to come back in, and he might even be able to snipe this drone that's moving through here. Nicely done here by herO.
Ooh, that Spore Crawler finishing at exactly the right time for SHIN. Very well mapped out. So 2 drones are going to fall here. And I mean, for herO, I think you're not going to be too upset with the way things are going right now, considering the way things were in Game 1 and Game 2. Of course, you would love to get 1 or 2 more drones with these 2 Adepts, with the 1 Oracle harassment, but in this case, the way this best of 5 has gone up until this point, I think herO's kind of counting his lucky stars that he's able to even get to this point, just be so comfortable on his side of the map, right?
Yeah. We've got more drones being cranked out here. The Oracle has gone from the harass phase into a tagging phase here to basically mark the Lings and the Queens and see if you can monitor the behavior. That usually happens when the Oracle gets low enough in HP. It's not really viable to kind of soak damage and try to snipe workers.
Yeah, but this is really cool what herO is doing. I was wondering for a moment what the Twilight Council and the Forge were so late. We have a 4th Oracle starting for herO.
Yeah.
herO is banging them in the main base. SHIN has only seen this 1 Oracle. As far as he knows, this is the only Stargate unit on the map right now, but herO's making a 5th Oracle.
Yeah, so I wonder if he's going to go for Blink with this too.
I think
Mass
so.
Stalker, Blink, and that kind of pressure play. So he's showing the 4 Oracles now and states that there's a 5th coming here. And this is where you don't have to respect the queens. In fact, he's going to target down this first queen. He's going to take out the second one almost immediately. 1 Oracle does go down, but 3 more are still here dealing a lot of damage. The Lings stand no chance being underneath that Oracle. So he gets in, and now he's going to get back out. He doesn't feel like he has enough to really do much more with that. 16 Lings are being made. Is there the possibility that you could do like a huge counterattack with this because the Oracle energy might be so drained it can't help defend the third?
I mean, there's going to be at least 1 Oracle with enough energy that I believe herO should be fine. Energy recharge also will be off cooldown in maybe 15 or 20 seconds. So I'm more curious of what herO is going to be doing with this because he's adding a cannon for safety, but with 5 more gateways, I feel like him adding this cannon is here being like, okay, I want to commit no units and no supply to defending my third. I just want to use static defense so I can have everything on the front line. And yeah, we have a 6 gateways, so I think you hit the nail on the head. 8 gateways in production. This is almost certainly going to be a Blink Stalker timing attack with all of these Oracles.
So he's got the Oracles out now. Roaches are being made too here. He's kept the Lings back. I thought he might be trying to rush in and hit him now, but I guess he's going to wind up for a bigger attack here. But in that amount of time state, this is going to be 5 more gateways that are finishing. So, you know, the production line is going to be ready to go here for units. He's going to have a lot more that he can crank out to try to defend with.
Yeah, and SHIN is feeling the pressure. He has not remade drones. He is at 52 to the 61 right now of herO. So herO, despite all of these gateways, despite winding up for this gigantic attack, actually has the better economy, the better saturation. And, you know, he's seeing no 4th base. He might have even been able to see the mineral saturation on the 3rd base and realize that SHIN is playing on solo drones. He doesn't have to commit to an attack. And in fact, it's going to be SHIN attacking into him.
Yeah, he's got the queens coming up here. The Ravagers as well. The 1 Oracle, did it get shot down? I actually can't tell. It flew away at the top of the screen. So more Lings are going to come in over here now. Now, the stasis ward goes off, but it is not enough to stop the surround. The Stalkers blink away, but another surround happens immediately after. If you can't blink through there, those biles connect and melt everything. And now you almost have the Stalkers kind of trapped back here over with the minerals. I'm just not sure if there's enough to hold this off. The only thing that could maybe work is if there's enough Oracles, but there's not. The Oracles are going to go down here too. I think this is actually going to be a 3-0, which is insane.
It might be, but the Roaches and Ravagers are starting to thin out a little bit right now. The Queens are standing tall, but of course, off creep, they cannot transfuse, and so there's not very much healing. herO, his army, it's been reset, but with 6 more Stalkers warping in, there is a world where he's able to hold on here, Tasteless.
He's going to be trying to take this cannon out here at the top. There's more Lings and Roaches that are going to come in here into the front lines. The question is, are the Queens and Ravagers going to be thinned out by that time? We've got some very, very low HP units. A blink in for the dive. He's going to take this out, and I think you nailed it, State. Yeah, he just has enough.
Man, herO is knocking on death's door right there. SHIN was so close to the 3-0, but he just ran a little bit out of steam, and I'm thinking back to the damage that herO was able to get done earlier. You know, if SHIN maybe had a couple more drones, a little bit of a better economy, then maybe the reinforcements are enough that he's able to have 1 more big swell of Lings come in, secure the kill on that 3rd base, and carry through to 3-0, but now the momentum is shifted, and with kill switch, the 3rd to 3rd distance, it is so close. herO is already right back here with a counterattack.
Yeah, herO's going to be trying to hit pretty hard here. The Stalker blinking is looking really good, and I don't see enough Roaches here. Yeah, there it is. GG, herO takes his first game, starting that comeback. Beautifully done. I actually thought that the game was about to end there.
It looked like
was gonna, yeah, just have enough damage, but there were enough Stalkers warped in. Beautifully done.
I mean, it's hard there as herO too, because you could tell for a moment, you have 4 Oracles, you're kind of running out of energy. The best situation for herO is that he's able to just kill the Queens, so he can A-move the Oracles and then focus on the Blink micro and dodging the biles, right?
Yeah.
That's the way that you kind of simplify the micro on the Protoss side of things defending. And so you could tell he had that thought process, and he sent the 4 Oracles out of the Queens. And then I think he realized there's like 8 Queens.
Yeah.
And he could not actually take that fight. That's after he killed, what was it, 3 Queens with the initial round of 4 Oracles coming in. So SHIN must have made like a dozen Queens in that game. That was completely absurd.
It was a funny game because he did kill a bunch of Queens with the Oracles, but the Oracles didn't do that much after that. And then the fact that the Queens are almost overmade, I don't know if that forced him into this kind of all-in counterattack, but that's what we had.
It was a very funny game.
All right, guys, we're going to go into Game 4 here. In the top right is herO, bottom left is SHIN.
I mean, that was just a wild game. I'm still kind of reeling about the way that one went. I think it's because the map is just, as you said, so claustrophobic.
Yeah.
That both players kind of, not necessarily they're forced, but
they're definitely kind of compelled into getting in each other's faces early on.
Yeah, absolutely. Because looking at the production tab, looking at the way that herO was playing it, it seemed like he just kind of wanted to go for Blinkstalker all in, but then you also look at SHIN, and he's on like 51, 52 drones. He's not saturating the third base. He's just pumping roaches and lings and gearing up for Ravagers. It's kind of funny because in that kind of situation, neither player really wants to be the one attacking the other, right? It's almost like you're both winding up to go for a quote-unquote all-in. And so for SHIN to move across the map with the roaches, lings, and Ravagers, of course, that was his game plan. But the fact that herO has like 10 gateways plus one, he's already got at least one cannon and a shield battery, and he went for all those oracles. Yeah, that game was just wild. I want to see more maps played in PvZ on Kill Switch.
I gotta say, all the PvZs we've had today have been anything but formulaic. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sometimes PvZ, and I guess it depends on the meta and the patch that we're in, but some PvZs, like, definitely look a certain way, especially when the Protoss gets really passive. And we kind of just watch them tack up and then tech up more and then tech up more. And eventually it's just like it's too much to handle. But yeah, these have been very tempo-wise, really interesting games to have. And I think some of that does come down to the maps that we have.
Yeah, it is fun. I've been enjoying seeing Antimatter and all the shenanigans coming up too. herO's been one of these players who, I don't think we have the map in the pool. I actually can't remember the name right now, but there's a map with, oh my good, I was gonna commentate on the progressing the drones, but rarely do you see it as active as that. But yeah, there was another map that I think was in the Team Liquid map contest that has like a little worker only path that goes into the main base. And I saw herO playing, I think it was like some weekly cup or something, and he sent the probe cross map and use the worker only path in a PvP and proxy 3 gateways right from the onset. And it's the kind of thing where you only see it once and then you don't get to see it again. And it's just like what SHIN did in that game number 1 on Antimatter. Now it's on herO's radar on that map to look for the proxy hat tree that could be going for a ling all in. But it's just so fun having these maps and having the builds kind of revealed to us as they play out here in the RSL.
I do feel like a lot of StarCraft II maps weren't taking risks for a while. Mm-hmm. You know, for another year or two there. Yeah, I think a lot of the maps we have specifically in this tournament, I think allow for games that look and feel very different.
Actually, a lot of lings in production right now for SHIN.
Yeah, a lot. I actually wasn't going to mention it, and then he kept making it, but he's gone back into drones here. The ling counterattack is actually really nice. I mean, beyond just stopping these probes from mining, he should be able to get 1 or 2 kills here. Yeah,
1 kill, I think, already there at the wall, and he's even going for the pylon right now, so the probes are going to come right back. One of these probes very close to going down, excuse me.
This was one of the greatest buying of time moves. Sending the probes back and then in, and then he really isn't losing that much. I thought this would have, you know, done a lot more hurt. I like the splitting here. He's going to at least get 1 or 2 probes down. He's going to target 1 more.
3 probes? Oh, is he going to get the 4th one? It's so low on HP. He could have gotten a 4th, but 3 probes in total, plus the full scout off and activating the Oracle. That is a nice win there for SHIN. For 4 lings, you take that any day of the week.
So, for now, it's just going to be the Zerg droning up. The Harass actually did surprisingly well. It looked like it wasn't going to do anything for a little bit, and then he actually took out about 3 probes there. So this puts SHIN in a fairly comfortable spot. We don't have the third base yet. In some of these games, herO got a really fast third base, like before any real definitive tech. This time around, the Oracle is going to be roaming here, going to see what he can't get done. He's going to send these 2 Adepts over here. There are a ton of drones here in the main. There's nothing at the natural. Looks like those were already evacuated. So he's going to try to commit in here and see what he can get, try to even this out. He's going to get, I think, at least 4, but then the Oracles come in here. And, I mean, 6 is a number you can be very happy with, even if you're going to sacrifice 2 Adepts in the process.
Yeah, that's a nice win there for herO, getting 6 drones like that. Some fancy maneuvering with these Oracles.
This Oracle's having a seizure right now.
I actually didn't know you could patrol it that close.
Yeah.
Remember the Viking flower from like Wings of Liberty? That was,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was, I think, no limit. Oh, wait. Hold on. Oh, boy, herO. Hero Wallens, nothing in the Wallen. Lings flooding now the natural and the main base. 2 more probes do go down the natural expansion. Adepts warping in. Not the disaster that I thought it might be. I was expecting kind of 4 or 5 probes to go down in total. And actually, it's herO with these Adepts canceling the shade and just full sending here on the third. There's only 2 queens to defend as the Lings are elsewhere trying to deal with some other attack.
Yeah, without Lings here, there's no real way to body block, so the Adepts can just sort of drift through. And now, again, I mean, this is just going to continue to add up. Right now, actually, SHIN's kind of navigated the drones just out of the range of the Adepts, so they're not really getting any drones. Ooh. But in the main, it looks like things are fairly exposed, so that damage might continue. He's going to actually send these drones back in over here, and so 1 or 2 more is going to be picked off, maybe a little bit too premature.
This is kind of funny. I feel like both the probe count and the drone count are way lower than you expect them to be at 6 minutes. We just had SHIN and herO finally touch 50 workers there. It's eerie. We've had some very bizarre games between these two over the course of this series. It's fun to watch. I like this much more than kind of the standard cookie cutter like build up to a late game.
Well, a lot of times, yeah, like a lot of times PvZ feels a bit slow.
It's clinical.
Or it can be, yeah. And I think sometimes the Protoss is disincentivized to leave his base and try to do that much. This is a much more exciting match. Oh man, the Oracles. Oh, he's gonna go for the Queens. I thought he was gonna go for the drones there. Kind of an interesting maneuvering. The Lings are not high enough in numbers to try to smother these Adepts. He's gonna try to come in here instead and try to preempt these Adepts. It just keeps going and going and going. There's 22 Lings hatching right now. Blink's about to finish, but for a long time now, Protoss has only been making Adepts. So the question is gonna be, when this harass is done, I've lost count of how many drones have been killed and how many Adepts I've seen shading in and out of the third and the main and the second base here. But yeah, the question is gonna be, what kind of core army does he have?
22 drones going down for 14 Adepts. 46 Lings and 2 Oracles. I feel like I've never seen an early game quite like this. It wasn't even a Glaives opening, but herO just kept warping in Adepts and sending them in like numbers of 3 or 5. This Stasis Trap also getting like almost a dozen drones. This feels like a mud wrestle of a PvZ.
You know, the Zerg is going to need a 4th base here. Zerg right now going up into Ling Hydra. He's going to have a lot more damage where you can't really kind of try to outmaneuver it. You know, if the Hydras are there and there's Lings in front of them, the damage gets insane, right? And we're talking about that on the advent of what looks like an attack coming up here. Yeah, he's going to make a proxy pylon, so there's probably going to be a gateway thrown there. This is the Hodor Stalker here, stopping all of these Lings from actually getting in. And I guess the question is going to be, you know, maybe I'm completely off base here. I kind of thought there's, you know, you would not want to try to attack into the Zerg if there's no easy target, if there's no 4th base being made, if they're just making enough to defend and you're kind of even. That just, you know, when you're even at bases in PvZ, the Protoss is kind of ahead if the game went on long enough. Generally speaking, it's not always the case, it's not like a golden rule, but it's a general rule. But yeah, everything I'm seeing here from herO seems to indicate that he's sizing up for an attack. He's going to make that gateway there, so that does indicate at least a commitment to an attack. Maybe it's counterattacks for Zealots?
Oh, SHIN barely messing it with the Lings, too.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Now, I feel like this makes a lot of sense for herO just to be really aggressive with these Stalkers because he knows he's killed so many workers from SHIN. If he just keeps pressuring, and oh no, a little bit late on that warp in, so we're going to have a recall here into the natural expansion. No probes actually going down. SHIN does not want to lose these Lings, so instead he's going to retreat. He will get the cancel on that 4th base. There's so many Stalkers on the field right now, able to pretty much cover all of the bases.
herO's going to be taking his 4th base before the Zerg can, and he's just going to be able to be out on the map here, creating pressure. The counterattack that was set up over here with the Lings is going to be engaged by the Stalkers. That's going to thin those numbers out.
Yeah, but back to my point earlier, I really like that herO's been so aggressive with these Stalkers because SHIN, he's on such a low worker count that if herO is on his side of the map, SHIN cannot afford to make drones. He has to make army, but actually SHIN is going for the attack right now. The Hydras and Lings going for a full surround. Remember, recall got used to defend the natural expansion from a run by. It is on cooldown. So all these Stalkers are going to get surrounded. Blink finally able to get them past this rock. A Stasis Trap is going to try and guard the exit. Hydras, man, I feel like I'm watching a survival horror game or something right now. These Stalkers trying their best to get away from the horde. Recall still only halfway off cooldown as finally they do get surrounded. this is going to be an expensive loss here for herO, but it's not all for naught. 4 more Templar warping in. I'm sure we have more on the field, and Storm is nearly done. That's going to go a long way towards defending this next push. And SHIN on only 3 hatcheries, no 4th hatch, only 52 drones. He's so committed.
Yeah, the only thing right now that herO has going for him is that Hydra's off creep are so slow. But this attack is inbound. This attack is going to hit. And I don't actually think there's anywhere safe to blink to. The storms, I mean, how many perfect storms could you have to hold this? I don't know that there's enough in all of these Templars to make that happen. This position is getting flattened. And with this many Hydras here, I think that this can extend right up into the natural, maybe even into the main. There's a huge Zealot counterattack, but is there anything to stop this battering ram of Hydras and Lings that are just stampeding through this position and destroying everything?
All right, SHIN going into the main base right now. If herO is going immediately for the production, he takes down the Templar Archives. There is only 1 Templar left on the map. It's going to get energy recharge, so 2 storms are available. herO, he's trying to make something happen with these Zealots. SHIN down to 35 drones. hero's going to try and defend at the 3rd base. He has no production, basically no income. SHIN is reset down to 1 hatchery, and these Hydras are very low at the 3rd base of herO. The Storm, there's only 1 left. I don't think he can do it, Tasteless.
I have never...
Oh, man, it got sniped.
He's going to try to come up now. I've never quite seen this in PvZ. This is such a weird series we've got. The Hydras are going to close it out. There's nothing that can actually address the Hydralisks here. You know, the Zealots, they're not high enough in number as long as you kite correctly, which we see SHIN is absolutely going to make sure is the case. This base is going to fall, and there's nothing left. In one of the most base-trading PvZs I think I've ever cast.
Yeah, I think SHIN's going to take it. This is going to be a 3-1 here in this best of 5 as herO just digesting the loss right now. His base is reset to not 2 Zealots warping in to defend the main base from this 1 Ling, but herO, he finally taps out. GG, a 3-1 victory here for SHIN. He's going to advance to the upper bracket semifinals.
Beautifully done. What a weird game. What an insanely bizarre all in. You know, SHIN was getting beat up quite a bit. I didn't think it made sense to attack with the Stalkers. Just seeing how many Hydras were being made there, it's like, oh no, this is not. If you're both powering up and about to attack into each other, like in the middle of the map, one of you is wrong. You know, this is not. There's like, that's supposed to be some Greco-Roman wrestling match in the middle of the map with both your armies. Somebody's supposed to stay back and defend and take that advantage and maybe have a counterattack, maybe take more bases. There's a lot of ways to handle it. So, yeah, I mean, the Hydras just melted everything that herO had, and the Zealot counterattack was cool, but ultimately, you know, when the dust settles from the 2 counterattacks, there's still so many Hydras there, this just block of Hydras, and with no storms, there's nothing else you can do.
You know how when you play like the Legacy of the Void campaign, or really any of the campaigns, you get to customize the units and make them do like something a little bit better? I feel like SHIN, his drones just mine more minerals because that was like a 50 drone economy, and he had so many Hydras. He had a screen full of Hydras. It was absurd.
Yeah, it was crazy. Guys, check out our merch. We've got hoodies and mugs and T-shirts and pins, say with me, State, for your rocker jackets. You know that sleeveless denim jacket you've got at home? Put some punk rock pins on there. Put some RSL pins on. You get 20% off on everything at my merch shop, tastelessthreads.com, if and only if you're a Patreon supporter. Are you a Patreon supporter? If not, go to our Patreon, check it out. We need your support in order to do things like RSL and keep these tournaments going. And I guess that's going to be it. Guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, our second best of 5. You don't want to miss it. We will be right back. Yo, what's up, everybody? We're back, and we are going to be going into our next best of 5. We just wrapped up SHIN defeating herO 3-1, and now it's going to be Reynor versus Cure.
Yeah, Reynor versus Cure is going to be a really fun TVZ, I think. SHIN versus herO, I must say, it did not go the way that I expected it to. I kind of thought that if it was going to be a 3-1, it would probably be herO winning. No disrespect to SHIN. And then also the games just individually from like map 1 to map 4, I was like, what are we watching? They were so low drone. There was so much chaos. It was
a really different PvZ.
Yeah, it was fun.
Every game was probably one of the best PvZs I've casted in a while. Honestly,
yeah.
It was very different. It didn't have a lot of the kind of sluggishness that some PvZs had, so I enjoyed it. Reynor Cure coming up next here. I would say Reynor just slightly favored here.
He seems to be in really good form right now.
Yeah. He's back in Korea. I actually had dinner with him a couple days ago. He's really committed. He's been just grinding, basically, getting ready. Obviously, RSL, EWC, just around the corner here. Mm-hmm. And so, I think if I had to pick a favorite, I would pick him. But the truth is, honestly, like, Cure is in extremely good form. At times, he looks like he's the best Terran in the world.
Yeah, he almost won GSL Season 1 this year.
I mean, if Maru didn't suck all the oxygen out of the room in Korea as for Terran, I mean, Cure would be the guy.
Yeah, he would just be the best Terran in Korea.
Yeah.
Like, bar none over Korea's history.
I think so, yeah.
It feels like for years of casting GSL, it was like the one person that could ever stop Cure.
Yeah.
Every time it's Maru. It's like in the semifinals or in the group stages or even in the I feel like they might have even played a finals against each other. Like it's just always Maru somehow stopping Cure. And the times that it doesn't happen and Cure is unleashed, he goes so deep. He gets top 4. Yeah. He gets top 2. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun series. We actually have map number 1 loading in right now. It's going to be Persephone. Kier spawning in the top left is the blue Terran. Reynor, the red Zerg, in the bottom left.
Yeah, so let's see what they got to offer here this time around. I do think this is going to be one of the more back-and-forth matches. I would not be shocked if we went all the way to Game 5 here.
Yeah, I could absolutely see this one going to a game number 5. I mean, Kier is one of these guys who is just... He's never under the radar because he always does so well. But he's typically like a round of 4 guy in GSL, oftentimes just because, like I said, he gets knocked out by Maru around that time. But, like, you send him to a tournament like EWC, I could easily see Kier getting, like, a top 4 finish EWC this year. I would not be surprised in any means, honestly, for both of these guys, both Kier and Reynor. And so I think it's going to be a really fun series. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what their TVZ is going to be like. TVZ's had a lot of changes in the recent patch, of course, with Ghost having an increased supply cost, the different maps that we've gotten. TVZ, somehow it feels like a little bit less campy. It's a lot more aggressive. Usually it's Terran trying to find some kind of timing attack against the Zerg.
Yeah, the old TVZs, it was a lot more about exhaust play, right? I mean, Terran maybe would try to do a push somewhere around the 4th base, and if that didn't work out, I mean, I think Morrow may be most known for this, but it was pretty common across the board as you would just sort of draw the game out. We're in a different patch now, and so I think the matchup is a little bit more explosive, and I think honestly just a little bit more interesting.
And when it's not Battle Mech.
Yeah, well, Battle Mech's been very, very good. I mean, that's undeniable that that's been extremely strong. It feels like, you know, there was a period where it was just Gumiho that would go for mech, and now it's kind of like everybody has their own, you know, mech style that they're throwing out here. The trend has just gone up and up.
Everyone's really happy. All the Terran players are really happy. Their Cyclones get to lock on a little bit faster. So, yeah, it's just the world that we live in. I hope for my sake that I don't see too much Battle Mech in this moving forward. I'm not personally a very big fan of it. I think part of that is my trauma of the Cyclone in the early days of Legacy of the Void when Battle Mech was really popular in PvT, and I had no idea how to deal with it.
It's a weird unit, right? Like the way that it behaves, it's so strong, and if you're just even moderately okay at micro, you know?
Ooh, got a drone.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Nice little feather in Kier's cap there, actually getting the kill. We've got Ling's speed started. Right now, Terran is finishing the 111 tech here, getting the factory, soon to be a starport after that. And it's going to be 3 command centers immediately, so there's really nothing more greedy and tech-heavy than this. Nidus play doesn't seem to be as popular. Whenever I see this happening, I'm like, oh god, a Nidus would just be so strong.
Yeah, that is right. I feel like kind of a... What is the build? Like the taxi where you go for a relatively fast layer, you get Overlord speed, and you have like 1 or 2 drop Overlords for the Lings and the Queens. Breaking down the natural expansion is kind of what's replaced something like a Nidus when it comes to the timing attacks, usually in close air distance maps. But yeah, you're right. We really don't see Nidus all that much in TVZ. I feel like these Terran players, they're so good at getting away with these 3CC plays.
It just feels like we're probably going to have a shift in the meta where this starts to get punished more. Whenever things get crazy greedy, usually it's going to be up to the opposing side to start to either get cheesier or, I don't know, some kind of exploitative play. Because when you look at what Kier's getting away with, I mean, he's getting away with murder here. He's going to have Hellions down here on the map trying to drive away creep tumors, trying to snipe drones if you can. And then, you know, the 3rd orbital's going to finish. It's going to be Banshees with Cloak.
Yeah, the Banshee kind of fulfills the same role that the Oracle does in PvZ, and that it's a unit that flies and deals relatively consistent damage. I mean, Oracles don't really run out of energy anymore, right? So they are very similar. And just because there aren't going to be, unless you go for some kind of timing attack, Queens on Kier's side of the map, you really can get away with this kind of 3CC play, although... Yeah, it is interesting. I'm always scratching my head a little bit because I've been playing a lot of random recently, trying to improve my Terran and my Zerg just because some of these matchups like TVT are still completely baffling to me. Even casting all the TVTs that we do in GSL, and if I go for a build like Kier, I guarantee you I'm dying to something completely random, but somehow they are always able to make it work.
So it's going to be the 4th base down here in the bottom right. This 4th base is... Oh, is he actually going to just go into the main?
Ooh. I feel like he kind of has to with those Queens. They're kind of blocking the exit there.
Unfortunately, these Hellions can't Adept Shade back out once they go in. So he's going to have to pull these drones. Oh, God, this is such a juicy line. Oh, my God.
3 drones, 6 drones going down in total. Very nice worker split there by Reynor, mitigating the damage. But if you're Cure, I think you're pretty happy probably.
Oh, that could not have gone better.
I mean, 10 drones in total, plus you see like how many buildings have to get started and then canceled there for Reynor.
So Reynor's going to be taking the very bottom right base. It might be delayed a little bit because he's trying to remake so many drones, but this is a map where, because you're both sharing the left side, a lot of times the 4th base isn't really the target. It's not really the Achilles heel that you're trying to hit. You might just be trying to push it anywhere for the Zerg. In fact, on this map in general, with the way that Zerg took 4 bases, there's really not any one obvious spot you want to push into. It's just a sort of bottom layer of the map that's all evenly distributed.
Yeah, oftentimes we'll see players go for some kind of medevac drop play, usually on the right side of the map where there are those speed zones. I mean, bio is just completely absurd. If there's no creep spread, then through those speed zones, very hard to catch. But in this case, Cure, just because his opening is so technical, the 1-1-1 with 3 command centers, he's going to be sending 2 Cloak Banshees into the main base of Reynor and seeing what kind of damage he can find instead.
Okay, the Banshees are going to come in now, and he's going to be able to take out a couple of these drones. I mean, so far, this is a pretty smooth game for Cure. Everything he's tried has basically worked. He hasn't really overcommitted with anything. You know, the Hellions, he lost that, obviously, in a sacrifice to kill the drones, but the Hellions don't play a really important role as the further along the game goes here. Stim is almost done. We've got Medivacs coming here. I don't know if Terran necessarily is going to push when Stim's finished, or if he's just going to continue to power up, but you got to think, with the amount of workers that have been killed, a push wouldn't be a terrible idea, right?
Oh, finally, these Banshees going to run out of energy and get taken out. At least one of them will. Yeah, I think we might be building up towards a push. I want to see if there's additional barracks going down. I haven't been keeping super close tabs on the production because it's kind of been a hectic early game, but I think Cure is going up to 5 racks right now. I'm not certain. If this is 8 racks, then yeah, certainly we're going to be seeing a lot of aggression out of him.
It feels like the opening that he went for always ends with 8 racks.
Yeah, it's a good composition.
Yeah, now this is not the easiest map to push on. I kind of forgot about the speed zones. I don't know why on this map, but
they're so good.
They're so strong on this map. And he's gonna take a little play from Bunny's book and put the siege tank in the medevac. He's gonna hit down here. I don't think there's anything here.
Yeah, there were some Lings and Banes, I think, a moment ago that were kind of anticipating this move, but they moved off point. Now they are going to be going for the surround, right? They're actually almost getting the full surround on that bio, but instead the Marines kind of able to use these tanks as a shield right now and work their way all the way back. And now it's just standing Marines against 14 Lings, no Banelings. Baneling speed only halfway done, and this hatchery is going to fall. The Queen's out of position. Reynor, he is taking another 4th base in the center, but this has been such a victory for Cure. I mean, the damage just keeps piling on. The early game was already so explosive, and look at the minimap. That is a massive army reinforcing.
Yeah.
So many more Marines, another tank. Oh, this is looking very dangerous right now for Reynor.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he can use that speed zone to kind of get away pretty easily here. It's kind of funny. He's going to push like almost like in this kind of horseshoe shape. I think he thought that there was going to be reclaim. Oh, I'm sorry. This actually has been reclaimed. For some reason, I didn't see that earlier. He hasn't checked here. Okay, he's going to see this now. The medevacs give him vision up there, so this base basically can't be used for the time being. The Spore is going to drive the medevac away here. I don't think this can be salvaged, by the way. This position just looks impossible to me.
Yeah, this is just such a punishing position right now for Reynor. And with 2-2 coming here for Cure, Reynor sitting on 76 drones, but only 3 base saturation, so it's like he's on something like 66. This is not the position you really want to be in right now. Cure is one of these guys who, you know, he gets that momentum in the early game, and he is not one to let loose on the reins. He just continues to take down the bases. Reynor reset back down to 3 hatcheries, now taking the triangle base as his 4th. Cure just confirming that's what's happening, securing this bottom right position, and you know, Cure, his 4th command center is already done, Tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, Cure is in phenomenal shape. I don't know if Reynor could have done a counterattack, by the way, or not. But right now, he's just this wrecking ball, and it's basically denying Reynor from really getting anything that's not that bottom layer of expansions on the map. I think we could be near the end of this game if Reynor doesn't win a big fight coming up here. All Terran has to do is maneuver down to where this 4th base is. I don't think it's even finished yet, or maybe it just finished now. I think drones are being sent over there. But point in case is that, like, yeah, I mean, the winning conditions for Cure aren't even that complex. All he has to do is keep poking out bases over and over, and eventually the Zerg is going to be obsolete. And so I think we may be in the final moments here of Reynor. Again, if he can't win this fight, and positionally this looks like a nightmare for Zerg. I mean, the spread is so good.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to take kind of a miracle here for Reynor. You need some kind of fungal connect with all this, but because there's no creep spread, he's not even going to try. That hatch goes down. He's double expanding into the bottom right and that center base. I think that's a smart move, but it just feels like time is not on his side. Cure is throwing down 3 more command centers right now. 3-3 is about a third of the way done. I mean, this is a Terran that is building up a bank nearly max against a Zerg who is struggling to take a 4th base.
And I think this is probably the best way to force a fight, not to move around too much more. He could basically threaten the main over here. And so Reynor's going to try to come in here now. Again, this position is really, really uncomfortable because Terran has both the low ground and the high ground. The tank spread is good. There's even a big, nice Widow Mine there in the middle. Looks like he almost moved those Marines a little bit too far here. Okay, Reynor's going to come in here. Great shot by Mapu, by the way. This position, we can see exactly everything that's happening. And at least the bottom section's going to be wiped. Over at the top, it seems like Terran gets the upper hand, but there's so much down here that I think Reynor will be eventually able to overwhelm this. The problem is that behind that, there's just still so much more on the map. I mean, Cure never stopped producing, and so I just don't know what Reynor's going to do. He's at 120 supply to 170 right now.
Yeah, that was an absolutely beautiful engagement by Reynor. I feel like by rights, Cure should have been able to end the game with that push. But, you know, it can only do so much, right? Any victory from Reynor's position like that one, even though you're able to have a decisive win while Cure is sieging the main base, the macro is just out of control right now. Cure's got those 3 additional command centers finishing. One of them is turning into a planetary in the top right for a 5th base. We have 2 more orbitals finishing up. 3-3 is nearly done. We have a Terran who is basically fully fleshed out. Their tech tree, their upgrades against a Reynor who's barely hanging on, and this pre-split is just gorgeous from Cure, pushing in again. Reynor, he's trying to reload with these Balings, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, Tasteless.
Yeah, this is looking pretty bad. The Banes are going to spread out. Actually, a great attack here from Reynor. The problem is I just think there's so much from Terran as the reinforcements come in, and you know those Balings have to be remade. So many medevacs over here. You would think with this surround, maybe this would thin this out, but it seems like the upgrades here for Cure are too good. The sustain is almost unreal right now. We're just finally seeing these Queens get taken out. And, yeah, from here it should be GG. There it is.
I gotta say, man, Reynor was basically dead to rights like 5 minutes ago. Like,
Well,
that was so impressive that he made it that difficult for a Cure who had all that damage done in the early game, who was up a base. I mean, Reynor was like a 3-hatch Zerg for the longest time.
It was as good as Cure looked in that game. I mean, it's a testament to what a strong player Reynor is, that he was like actually able to hang on and kind of fight that. I mean, once you're like on 3 bases, Zerg, and Terran's on 4 bases, you're so boned. 4
bases with like 3 more command centers finishing up and 3-3 upgrades coming online. Like, that was just insane.
It was absurd, actually. Okay, so Cure takes a 1-0 lead. Cure, honestly, like a flawless game. Kind of reminded me of what we saw with Clem yesterday. Like, there's nothing I can do going back into that game and being like, oh, he should have done this or he should have done that. I think some of that came down to how many workers he killed early on. The Hellions got in. You know, sometimes, actually more often than not, it feels like that's a mistake when you just run to their main with the Hellions.
Yeah, it almost felt like Reynor forced his hand because the Queens came at such an angle. They had like this insane concave of Queens kind of ushering them into the natural.
There were enough Queens. Maybe he actually knew I can just run into the main there. Maybe
yeah,
he goes,
I guess.
oh, if you have that many Queens, you don't have anything anywhere. And maybe there is no real defense. So we're going to go into game 2 in a second here. But yeah, I mean, Cure just got the kills early on, got up to 3 bases. I believe it was the 8 racks play with a later 4th base into some more command centers. And like, it was the Terran wrecking ball going from position to position, wiping the Zerg out and punishing.
Anytime you're able to get that many drone kills when you're going 3 CC with a Hellion Banshee opening, oh, you're just feeling on top of the world. And so this guy spawning in the top right, the blue Terran Cure, leading the series 1-0 over Reynor, the red Zerg, in the bottom left. And keep in mind, these playoffs, all best of 5s this week.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of juicy best of 5s here. By the way, guys, if you're watching right now, don't forget, we're going to be on tomorrow and the day after. We had to squeeze our schedule together here because there were hardly any free days for StarCraft II. All the tournament organizers try to stay in contact with each other so we, can have the pro gamers here and then over at this event, and then if they got to fly out of town, we'll pause this. So we're going to be on tomorrow and the day after, and then we're going to pick up again on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of action. A lot of action coming your way here for the playoffs. As, just like you said, I mean, EWC kind of puts a timer on the entire circuit, right?
Yeah.
And we're all building up to that moment, which is now just a couple of weeks away.
Yeah. We're going to be crowning a world champion again here. And, of course, an RSL champion for the first time. So, in this game, I don't imagine we're going to have anything too crazy happening early on. We're getting the Terran to go for their tech first and probably an command center after that.
Yeah, I'm imagining we're going to see another 3CC come out from Cure, especially here on Ultralove. There, I feel like, are a lot of angles that you can go with an ARAX play, even with a more delayed 4th command center that can get damage done. This is one of those maps where the third distance, it's not the shortest. It's not kill switch, which if I'm remembering the map names correctly, is the one where you're like 2 screens away at the thirds. But yeah, Ultralove, it can have potential for aggression. So I'm thinking we're gonna see that from Cure, but let's see how these builds play out.
So it's gonna be the 3rd hatch here. The Reaper's gonna come down, and in that game, the previous one, I think one of the things that we really saw back there was, the 4th base kind of got blindsided. And Zerg really needs to get up to, like, the 5th base and kind of macro up. There's almost always a timing in a game where the Zerg loses the 4th base, and that's like, well, it's just an easy game from here on out, right? So I think it's, definitely harder to be surprised in the same way on this map, because the speed zones on that last map, that's a very unique feature to that map, unless we have more maps like that in the future. Here, it feels like the 4th base is probably going to be, at least positionally, pretty formulaic. It's going to be that triangle 3rd. And the 5th base probably right after that. It feels like the bottom right base on this map probably a little bit too far away, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Almost certainly going to be the triangle base coming in for Reynor. Although, we have been surprised in the past. We'll have to see what it brings to the table. But yeah, just thinking back to the last game. Oh, this Reaper, I think, it's going to barely survive. I feel like Cure might have thought he clicked down on the bottom of the 3rd base, but instead actually stayed there in the main. But luckily for him, not too much going to come from that. And actually, it's a Roachborn going down here for Reynor. Is this going to be aggression, or is it just a safety Roachborn? I feel like it's more likely for safety than anything else here.
Yeah, usually the Roach Warren is just going to be like a safety mechanism, but it could be a timing. That's a great catch, by the way, getting that Overlord on the middle of the map here.
This is like in front of Reynor's 3rd base. That is so much confidence for
Cure. To get 2 Marines. That might be a suicide mission for those 2 Marines. But yeah, getting an Overlord, especially at this phase of the game when most TVZs at the highest level, nothing can ever go wrong for the Zerg, right? Like the Reaper maybe gets a drone, but actually killing the Overlord off messes up the whole rhythm of everything here. So that's a pretty, for a small move, that's a pretty big victory there for Cure.
That's a nice catch. I wonder if he was just able to identify that this isn't, I'm quite sure, a speedling opening here for Reynor. Instead, it is just the Roaches, and so he can, afford to send those 2 Marines out and just see what they can find, and they get an Overlord for their trouble. Back on Cure's side of things, going to be another Banshee opening here with Cloak once more. Additional barracks also coming down, I think. And we'll see exactly where this one's going to go. Reynor, he does have a good number of Roaches out on the field right now just for safety.
And so he's going to get a second Overlord. No, you're fine. He's going to get a second Overlord here. Not bad. Once again, thematically, this is the Terran basically powering up and going uncontested, so to speak. Sometimes the way I think about this is it's like they're both playing single player on some level. They're both just macroing. With the exception of the jabs coming from Cure that are getting the Overlords. We'll see how much this impacts everything as we pan out. We're kind of waiting for this game to ramp up to the Terran's 3-base push into the Zerg's 4th base.
Oh, Reynor's taking his 5th and 6th gas really quickly. This is reminding me of, I think it was SHIN who deployed this strategy at Dallas, where you play on like 70 or so drones, you get very fast +1 carapace, you use roaches as kind of your main army on the ground, and you rush ultras. I wonder if that's what we're going to see here from Reynor. Because that infestation pit, it's already halfway done, Tasteless. And SHIN, in most of those games, I think it was like a sub 7-minute hive. I'm so curious if that's what we're going to see.
I think he's going to basically get ready to try to shut down the push, right? He's got the infestation pit done. Terran, it looks like it's probably time to push, right?
6-minute hive.
Yeah. Now, the 4th base, I don't know that he can actually keep this alive. The first infestor started, by the way.
Yeah, 1 infestor. We don't have any Ravagers on the field right yet, so it's not necessarily going to be to pair up with Biles, but the fact that it's just a pure roach force here for Reynor, anything you can do to lock down the bio and just try and get in range and use the low-range roaches to shave away at the Marine count as best you can is going to be cool, but it's tricky in a situation like this one, especially with +1 carapace not yet done, but still the Roach is standing pretty strong here.
Yeah, the Roach is actually able to basically force a lift off here. He's going to fly into the main. The Spore's going to drive him back just slightly here. I mean, you take what you can get here, and it doesn't look like he can get anything at all. Like the Overlord takes some damage. The Banshees kill a Queen here. And this has mostly been Kjær kind of staying back and seeing what he can do with the first 2 medevacs. We don't have that big push that I was talking about yet. Instead, Kjær's going to be taking his 4th base. And I think, honestly, I think Kjær kind of got a read on the hive and decided it's probably not a good idea to try to be sending too much out on the map just yet. The Ultralisk Cavern started, and Reynor's going to be bringing us a very different feeling late game here for this ZBT.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite ZBT builds, man. This is so much fun to watch. Ultralisk Cavern going down at 7 minutes. We're going to have, what, 70, 71 drones or so in total, +2 carapace with Ultra getting their extra armor. Oh, this is going to be really fun. Kjær's going to have a hard time defending this, I think, if Reynor is able to fully unlock this tech and get those units out on the field. But right now, the armies, looking at the mini-map, they're posturing pretty close to each other in the top left center.
Yeah, and this is going to be a much more dangerous map to be on. Okay, nice move in here, but the Fungals are just perfect, and the Roaches can shove in. The Marines are all so low on HP, they can't really do that much. He gets the damage done. Is he going to try to commit down onto this? I think he might want to, especially with the tank sieging up. That's going to be a nice free target to try to take out.
Just amazing engagement there by Reynor, anticipating the move coming out from Kjær, coming with those Fungals, and even taking that fight. Kjær was not ready at all. He wasn't only not expecting Reynor to be waiting for him at the top of that ramp, but Combat Shields was like 15 seconds away from being done. And now we have 3 Ultras coming out, Ultra Armor also getting researched. This is going to be a very scary next couple of minutes here for Kjær if Reynor decides to break out on the map once these Ultras are done.
Yeah, I mean, with the Ultras, you can just absorb so much more damage, right? The Lings, you know, when they're paired with the Ultras, they're so much stronger, especially if you can get a few good Fungals off, because then Stutter Step Micro's gone, and it's just raw damage output from the Zerg that the Terran has to absorb. You know, Terran's so glass cannony in general that this is why it's just devastating to try to fight. I love what Kjær does here, though. That's a big victory. Going to slow down the growth here from Reynor. But, I mean, we're basically at the point in time where both these guys have these mammoth-sized armies. Both sides maxing out, finishing out the tech trees.
Yeah, +3 carapace already getting started here for Reynor with those Biles, also able to take down the Siege Tank. And here he is powering up. He's getting the Ghost Academy. He's adding in Liberators. These are things that are going to help against the Ultras later on. But for Reynor, it's sub 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure he's already got Adrenal. He's got +1 melee. He's got +2 carapace. His Ultras are upgraded. He is ready to fight. And now he's coming in right now. Ultras on the low ground. Look at this insane arc, 180 degrees. The Fungal as well. Biles are going to take down at least one of those Liberators. Kjær, he's winning the fight on the high ground, but the Ultras are running rampant on the low ground.
Yeah, he's doing a good job of targeting here. He's going to thin out those 3 Ultras. It looks like at least 2 of the Ultras are going to survive here with very, very low HP. He probably wants to right-click those Banshees on those and just see what he can get done. The counterattack hits over here, and that forced a lift off. Reynor looking a lot more fearsome this game.
Yeah, man, this timing just working beautifully. That Liberator was able to do a lot of damage to those Ultras, but besides that, really just a flawless series of engagements there for Reynor. Going for the lane counterattack at the 4th base, taking that big fight right in front of Cure's 3rd. And now he's remaxing with more Ultras. He's adding in more Lings, +3 Carapace and +2 Melee are only halfway done. And he's not even going to wait for it, man. He is charging right in.
Yeah, he's going to come in here, and at this point in time, I just don't know if Terran has enough to absorb this. The SCs are frantically repairing, and a repair that actually might pay off, by the way. Hold on. Oh, wait, there's way more coming up here from the bottom. Excuse me. And these Ultras can now separate the command center up here. The issue is he never really took the SCVs out. It might not matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Cure just taps out. GG. A much better performance there from Reynor.
Oh, I love that build so much, Taser. That's like my favorite ZVT build from like the last couple of years. As soon as I saw that Infestation Pit go down and the extra gases get taken, I got, oh man.
Well, it takes away all of the strengths that Terran have, right? To basically stutter step micro your way to victory, to just keep kiting and eking out damage. I mean, once a couple good fungals hit, the Terran is just stuck there. The Ultras wipe everything out. Yeah, I mean, it's just devastating.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful composition. That was so much fun. I mean, anytime you get the Ultraless Cavern going down to 7 minutes, you're going to be having a good game, I think.
Yeah, it was impressive. Guys, consider signing up for our Patreon, patreon.com/Revive SC2. With your support, we can keep the legacy of StarCraft II going in a professional broadcast setup for as long as the community wants, really. So we have different tiers. The more that you are supporting us, the more interaction you get with the show. You can vote in players or maps. We are hoping to reach our Patreon goal of eventually, I think we're like $1,000 away from it right now, but eventually unlocking live events.
Yeah, live is in like having a studio audience and renting out one of these proper big arenas, right?
Renting out and staffing one of these esports locations in Seoul. So, yeah, consider signing up and supporting us. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we're going to continue on with this best of 5 with Reynor versus Cure. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for waiting. We're going to be going into the third game here between Reynor and Cure. Reynor got kind of pushed around in game one, and he did not have that same look in game two. I mean, he really completely changed his play style and shut Cure down.
Yeah, I feel like unless Kara is able to get the momentum rolling really quickly with some kind of early harassment like he did in game number 1. I mean, he killed like, what, 10 drones or maybe even more with that Hellion run by the early game. I think he's going to have a hard time versus Reynor. And I don't think Reynor's the kind of guy that's going to let that happen again. You know?
I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, let's see what kind of adjustments Kier's going to make here. He's playing a very greedy, do everything but make attacking units style. I mean, he's teching as fast as he can while going on 3 command centers. Reynor is, you know, you have 2 ways to approach a player like this, right? One is that you try to cheese them out or punish them because they're being greedy. The other is that you basically try to race them with your own macro in development, right? And the big deviation was that he shifted out of just trying to get a 4th base and stay on layer tech, and instead he rushed into Hive.
Yeah, it was a super fast Hive. I think he even skipped link speed to just get enough roaches to be able to deal with the Hellion run by so that you're not really too afraid of anything. And then you get the ultras on the map. I think it was like a 7-minute ultraless cavern. The moment that I saw SHIN do that at Dallas, I knew that we're going to be seeing like a little bit more of a meta shift.
Yeah.
And I love that this is catching on.
It's one of those things you see like someone do something that looks so good and strong, and you go, oh, now that's a thing now. It's now in the bloodstream of the meta. I like it. I think it's a great way to kind of approach a sort of generic macro style like we saw there from Kier. We're ready to go now into game number 3 here in our final best of 5 of the evening.
Yeah, Reynor spawning as the red Zerg in the bottom right, Kier the blue Terran in the top left. As we get ready for game number 3, all tied up 1-1 right now. Of course, the loser of this series is not out of the tournament. They will fall from the winner's bracket into the loser's bracket as we have an 8-player double elimination playoff here at the RSL.
So, yeah, I mean, Reynor making definitely the right adjustments coming into this. This is a map, by the way. It's hard for the Zerg to get a 5th base that feels safe. You know, I think I can't talk. At an initial glance, you would look at this and say, oh, there's like a ton of expansions, right? And there are. A lot of them are hard for either side in this matchup to like secure. And so I don't know if that's going to affect how Reynor plays. But as I'm saying that, we have actually 2 racks Reaper coming out here.
Yeah, kind of a throwback build. Remember when this was all the rage in the GSL after it unpopularized it for like a year? That was what, 2024, 23?
Yeah, I think so.
It's fallen out of favor a little bit as people have been favoring the style that Kier was. Oh, wow, we have a 3rd barracks going down, actually. Okay, so this is a much more aggressive variant.
This is packaged from the Zerg's perspective like it's that 2 racks Reaper. Like we said, Beyond and some other Terrans in Korea especially like to do this. But he pockets the 3rd racks in the main. So this looks like it's like a pressure build, but it's actually going to be a lot more aggressive than that. And, you know, by the time the 3rd, I don't know how to quantify what I'm trying to say here. Once the 1st and the 2nd Reaper out of the 3rd racks get out, that's where the momentum builds up. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I was trying to say. It was cast. Like,
no, you said it perfectly, Tasteless. Yeah, it takes a couple production cycles, maybe about a minute from now, for that 3rd barracks to really kick in. And once it does, it's going to be very tricky. I even like Kier throwing down the supply depot over there, just minimizing the walking time.
Not only that, but
SEV.
I think it might even... Oh, hold on a second. The Reaper's going to come up now. Now, normally we don't even bother talking about the Reaper at this phase of the game, but it's going to matter because it's actually damaging the stuff, and there's going to be more Reapers coming.
On the mini-map, by the way, Reynor checked the natural expansion of Kier and saw no command center. And so I'm wondering if he's catching on to exactly what this is going to be, because you would probably be expecting to see a C come down any moment now. It's a little bit late.
Yeah, so the fact that the CC is not there should hint to Reynor that he needs to dial it back, brace for impact, and, you know, just not lose too much in this game of defending. The issue is that a lot of times in pressure builds, you're trying to shrug off their pressure and continue to grow. But with the way this game is going, this is a very different beast. So the question is going to be, and I think by now, as the Reapers are getting high enough in number, it's going to become very clear what kind of game this is.
Yeah, a lot more Lings in production. Ling speed still about 15 seconds away from completion. These queens so low on HP, some of them getting very close to having enough energy to transfuse and heal back up.
Reynor's done a really good job having the damage pretty evenly distributed on the queens. That's really how you hold this, is you sort of trade out the damage and then you transfuse up. And I don't know, I mean, can he even do much more than this?
I feel like using grenades, oh boy.
Oh my god, that was this drone. This drone is the bravest drone in the world. I can't believe he got over there.
I actually cannot believe that took down the hatch.
The drone had a death wish. Okay, I was going to say the only thing, before that drone got out, I wanted to say the only thing that you could do from here on out is snipe the drone that's going to try to take the third base. But I'm guessing Kira had his screen over his main at that point in time, because I'm stunned he didn't take that shot. So he seals himself up in his base. One problem with just making 2 racks here, if you're in the top left spot, is that your add-ons stick out.
Yeah, they are exposed, but luckily there's like a dozen Reapers to protect them tasteless.
That's right, that's right. If those Reapers weren't there, it's like a pair of balls just hanging out. Those 2 reactors could be a huge punish there, but instead, he's fine. He can cover that. Now, also remember that when you make like a ton of Reapers early on, every Reaper you made wasn't a Marine. Reapers don't have the kind of universal utility that Marines have. You know, Marines can do stuff early on, but you'll also have Marines, you know, in the last minute of a, 40-minute game, right? The Marines are always going to be there. The Reapers, not so much. So a little bit later on, Kira's going to try to figure out some way to get value with these, and then probably eventually get rid of them to open up more supply.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that Reynor took, I think, only 3 Lings of damage from the initial 3 Barracks Reaper play.
It's insane, yeah.
Like, that was just so miraculously done.
So he's going to push before the medevacs are out, because Stim's going to be done. This is one of these unusual timings. Now, the medevacs are coming, but you want to be careful because, like, when these work, you look like a genius, and when this fails, you look like an idiot because all the Marines just get surrounded, right? When you can't pick up your Marines and relocate them, you are really, not allowed to make any mistakes. You're not allowed to engage when you can't, basically.
This Reaper stuck in on the middle of all the Marines is me on the subway trying to walk faster than everybody else, but it's too crowded. Finally able to break free. All right, 12 more Lings in production. Reynor is going to fire up the lair. How brave is Kira going to get? Because Reynor has so many Lings on the map right now. He's actually cut at 51 drones. He wants to just completely dismantle this. But now that 2 medevacs joining in, a minimum of 8 units in each medevac's gonna be able to escape, and Kira's pushing in.
Now, you can't pick up everything here, but you really only care about making sure the Marines stay alive long term. Now, the Lings are going to come in from every angle, and this is going to be the forced pickup, which will... Wait.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay. That did not go the way I thought it was going to go. It was almost like he tried to sustain and just, like, get a little bit more value, because obviously when you pick up the Marines, the Reapers are gone. Then it's over, right? He, like, overcommitted there. He lost the medevac that was full of Marines. That is brutal for the Terran. The map is going to be completely under the Zerg's control. It's going to be very, very hard to push out. I think he only kept 1 medevac, and maybe there was like 1 or 2 Marines in it. I don't quite catch it, but it's going to be a very, very difficult mid-game from here on out.
Yeah, that kind of felt worse than if the Lings and Reapers just got surrounded with no medevacs and died, because losing a medevac like that, too, to the Queen.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you get enough medevacs, that's what's going to give you the sustain. Now, Cure, I think he's just... I feel like he should not be doing this. This looks like... I mean, there's like as many Queens as there are Marines in that army. Like, this is... There's no way this is going to work.
It is very ambitious. I think that's why we see him kind of timidly sieging in range of the Zelnaga Tower instead of trying to inch his way too close to this this hatchery. Because, the Marines, they can kite back and maybe will be able to take a cost-efficient trade. And perhaps that's what Kira is fishing for. But Reynor, he's just so smart about this, sending a small group of Lings, seeing if he can get that tank. Kira does have some Marines protecting it, so instead he's going to be shifting his attention down here. And now Reynor coming in on all sides, getting a surround on the tank here by that tower. These Marines are going to have to lift up and go home. I mean, everything is just coming up Reynor right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like right now with Kira, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back with the way this game is going. He almost attacked there as if the initial bungled attack from before didn't happen, Yeah, I mean, that being said, it's like, well, what is he supposed to do? I don't know, man. I guess, like, take a third base earlier? I don't know, try to drop more? You know, it's a tough game. When you completely screw up an attack in the middle of the map, especially against someone who's probably not going to miss a beat like Reynor, it's going to be a tough game. So Zerg is easily on 4 bases and cannot be contested. We may see the players switch roles here, where Zerg might try to come over here and smash that third base and basically just sort of starve Terran out, just outgrow them economically, and make the game basically very easy in the late game.
You were talking about how hard it is for Zerg to take a 5th base. Reynor wants an extra hatchery, so he's just building it in the main base right now.
Yeah.
He's building ye old macro hatches. You can see it right there at the top of the screen starting to morph it. You don't see that every day, but I guess with this kind of Ling-heavy style, you want to get all the larvae you possibly can here. As Reynor it really is just his map, and by the way...
Oh, I like the Banes there.
Yeah, the Baneling landmines coming into play here. This is so many queens going after these Liberators.
Yeah, unfortunately, herO doesn't relocate them there, so he drops that. And, you know, this is... Oh, God. Okay, this is a map where, like, we were talking earlier on, like, Zerg gets 4 bases. It's hard to take a 5th, but I think what Terran has is so meager and so small. I don't feel like Terran can push for a while here. Zerg's, like, nearly maxed out. Reynor will max out in a minute here. Terran's a long way from that. And this should give, as we get into, like, the late game, I think that it's still going to be very, very tough to push, even a far-out 5th or even 6th base.
Yeah, and Reynor's been playing a very low drone style up until this point. Still hasn't surpassed 70 drones in total. You're actually able to find some nice damage right now with these Marines. Any kind of chip damage you can do here as herO is going to be really beneficial in the late game, because I feel like from the Terran's position, you kind of just need to weather the storm right now, try and get maybe potentially a 4th base in 3-3, because Reynor's army is just so formidable at this stage in the game. It's actually going to be herO pushing out right now with 2-2.
Now, this is not the Ultralisk Infestor tech, just to be clear. This push is going to have to be handled in a very, very different way. And, you know, honestly, besides forcing sieges, like, really early on and kind of hiccuping the push, this is, like, this can fight Ling Hydra Bane. It's going to be all about the Terran's ability to kite, how many Banes can actually be made. I love the counterattack. You can see there's, like, an unfinished wall that's being set up over here to keep this safe.
Oh, and now Reynor coming in for the 360 surround on herO's army. This is an 8-Rax Marine ball. Those Marines able to deal. Oh, man, the rocks go down. He actually focused that down. I thought the Banelings were able to close the distance. Hold on a moment. Tasteless. herO just turned this game on its head. He says, I don't need a 4th command center. I'm just going to ride this 8-Rax wave all the way into the heart of Reynor's base.
I thought those Banes were going to connect with it, but yeah, the rocks came down in kind of a, it's like out of a novel or something. We just saw it. Sounds like esports fan fiction. He's going to get that first hatchery down. That's going to knock Reynor onto 3 bases. There's actually a marooned base up here. I think herO doesn't know about it. Oh, he does. He's going to just send just enough to take it out. And this is, by the way, you know, just such a sign of a strong player is he wins the fight and he just goes back. So many other players are like, I have to keep going. I've got to push. You know, I've got to end the game now. It's like, no. You're Terran. Regroup. He's got his reinforcements here. He's got plenty more tanks. And now he's going to keep the pressure on.
Man, that victory was so stunning there for herO. It was so decisive that Reynor, all the momentum was building on his side. It felt like he had control of the game, but now it's herO inching closer and closer to the natural expansion. Reynor can no longer go for surround. Instead, he needs to take the head-on fight here at this ramp. Banelings and Lings rolling in. The split from herO is immaculate, and he's charging back forward again. This Infestor even going to get sniped. It does get a fungal off. But so far, these trades, again, going so well for herO. Another fungal coming. It is connected with the Marines, but herO does not care. He pushes forward, and that is game 3 going herO's way. I cannot believe he won that game, Tasteless.
I mean, the fight by the rocks, that was, like, perfect. At the last second, he just locks out the army. Reynor has to back up. You know, when Zerg use, like, enough of their Banelings, they don't have any more tools. The Baneling is sort of the center of gravity in the Zerg's damage output, right? And when the rocks fell, the banelings were able to be sniped off at a high enough number that then it's like, okay, we got to go back. You can't protect that other base. And I love that Cure, like, yo-yoed his army back. He got it, he took the base, and he says, nope, we're going to pack it up. We're going to regroup. We're not going to overextend. And that's exactly what we saw. And so now it's going to be Cure up 2-1 versus Reynor.
I mean, everything went Reynor's way that game. It was a 3-Rax Reaper opening for Cure. The Reapers killed, in total, I think, 3 Lings.
Yeah.
And then Cure went for a follow-up attack with 2 medevacs, a ton of Marines, and those initial Reapers. And he kind of fumbled it. The medevac, whose job was to lift up the Marines, you know, after taking a favorable trade and then retreat back to safely, got sniped by the Queen. There's like 4 or 5 supply of units that survived that, and then somehow Cure was able on 3 bases. He doesn't even go for the 4th. I saw, looking at that, I'm thinking, okay, the win condition here as Cure, the early game has been such a disaster. We need to hunker down, take a 4th base, get 3-3, try and trade more efficiently. And Cure just does not blink. He's like, you know what? No, 8 racks, 3 command centers. We all in, and it just works.
I think he's got to go for ultras again. I think we need to see the return of that style that we saw in game 2.
I would welcome
honestly,
it.
I thought that until the rocks were shot down, I thought Reynor was going to win.
It felt like, I mean, you see the surround coming in too, but it was a little bit disjointed. Like the forces didn't quite converge on the Terran army at exactly the same moment, right? But at the end of the day, Cure taking one of the most stunning wins I think we've seen in the entirety of the RSL so far this season. That fight, I was expecting it to go Reynor's way, and it went so decisively in the advantage of Cure. I kind of, like, I'm going to go home, and I'm just going to open the RSL Revival YouTube and watch the VOD and be like, how did this happen?
Yeah, that was a, you know, it looked so clearly like it was going to go one way. But yeah, the rocks completely changed the whole trajectory of that game. So, you look, in this game, I mean, I guess we got to ask the question, is Cure going to go for that macro style? You know, it doesn't appear that he's going to be going for the double racks Reaper. Although, I guess, sorry, that was actually a 3-Rax Reaper. I almost forgot about that. The end of the game was so crazy, I forgot how it started.
Yeah, I think we're going to go back to the basics here for Cure. I do like him mixing in 3-Rax Reaper, but boy, how terrifying is it that the early game for Cure can be, you know, so lukewarm, and then he just gets red hot as soon as he maxes on 3 CCs with 8 racks. I mean, just really impeccable stuff. And we'll see what Reynor brings out here in, what is this now, game number 4. Cure leading the series 2-1. Of course, again, if Reynor does lose, he will fall to the loser's bracket. He is not out of the RSL, and Cure would find his way moving on into that upper bracket semifinal. For Reynor, this was a pool first. He actually made 6 Lings with this. And I think he's going to try and find that command center. I love the timing he's moving out, just barely shimmying past his Reaper.
Yeah, these Lings are going to come up here, and if they can just snipe the SCV, that's one of the biggest victories you can get as a Zerg. You know, you don't have to make the command center down here, and when you do, you can be punished just like this. He's going to get into the main, too. He needs to just... Oh, does he want to back up? I guess, yeah, go for the command center, actually. Oh, this is so good. It's, for some reason in my head, I thought he had to, like, run up into the main and try to kill the Marines, but actually forcing these SCVs down like this is so good. Are you kidding me? 5 SCV kills? 6?
The micro from Reynor with these Lings was just wild. 7 SCVs in total going down. Not to even mention the SCVs that just aren't being made because the command center is so delayed. Oh, that was a big win there for Reynor. 6 Lings for 7 SCVs.
I mean, that's...
Thank you.
I know that, like, sometimes when people cast games, we're like, well, that's over from there. I mean, in my head, I'm like, how do you recover from that? The command center's delayed, and you lost 6 workers. Or was it 7 workers?
I think it might have been 7.
7 workers. It's like, oh my God. And I guess the question we got to ask ourselves now, body blockery.
Oh, double body block.
Oh, what's up, son? Block what?
Reynor broke his ankles.
Blocking Reaper says what?
Oh, man. Reynor's going to have to cancel that hatchery or rebuild it, too.
Oh, it gets away.
Wow, the Queen with the zoning.
Oh,
Blocking
Reaper
block.
says what? Says what? Okay. This is an action-packed game 4. The thing I was going to say before that got crazy was, like, does Zerg want to just try to all in and close the game out, or do you just, like, try to play a really, really easy mid-game where you're just ahead?
I think you just ride the wave of this early game advantage.
Yeah.
I wonder what adjustments, if Reynor does decide to kind of take a 4th base and maybe go for a 5th hatchery, I wonder what adjustments he makes, given the way the last game went. And actually, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's 16 more lings.
Yeah. So he's going to come in here and try to just flood this area. We got to see if the not the Reapers, the Hellions can try to kite this.
I reckon Reynor's going to run in when the Overlord spots these units moving out, but I think he actually... Oh, for some reason I thought there was an Overlord pillar right there, the natural expansion, but it's actually further down here, and the barracks is coming in to confirm the kill.
Does he have to go in the smoke? Is that how you hide this? Oh, no, he's got a floating barracks over here.
Hey, the smoke, it's doing the job, or at least it was a little bit there.
Yeah. So it's going to be a Banshee with Cloak. I thought he's not going to send the Lings?
I think he's just waiting. He wants the Hellions to come cross-map, and then he just runs in and kills as many SCVs as possible.
Got it. Okay, that makes actually a lot more sense. Okay, so he's going to send these out here, and this should be what prompts the counterattack. There is a Roach Warren going down here. Here come those Lings. Now, the Hellions are able to kite, and so the damage is going to be pretty small.
You're quite well prepared for this with 3 or 4 Marines and 2 Hellions just kind of sitting in the natural expansion. He did not send everything willy-nilly out onto the map. So only 2 SCVs in total going down.
And, yeah, I mean, it's going to be, you know, I guess, development over here for Cure. He's got 2 eBays here. And... yeah, I mean, I guess we're just going to kind of go back into a normal game here. The 3rd base is being taken very quickly. Kier not going to try to miss a beat here. The Hellions are going to come in again, and oh, wow, I thought they were actually going to go into the main. He does not get the block up here in the body blocking episode of RSL here. He's going to be able to corner this. The 1 Reaper is the only thing that can get up on the high ground.
So, guys, I'll get you back up here. Just sit in range of the grenade.
If
I'll bounce you.
Perfectly, he can bounce a Hellion up there.
He's trying to flip it like one of those mini skateboards that you play with your fingers.
So, the Hellions are gone. It's 5 Marines being cranked out at a time. Stim's about halfway done. And Reynor's taking his 4th base. Kira's taking his 3rd. I don't know if there's anything that Terran can do to attack that. This Banshee could almost operate like an Oracle would over at a Protoss' 3rd base here to defend this.
Kind of reminiscent of, I think, game number 1 here, as we have more barracks coming in. So we had, what, 3 more barracks go down, I think, for Cure. So he's going up to 5 now, I believe. I kind of expect him just to lean back on the 8 racks. It worked for him in the previous game, where the early game was also not very good.
Yeah.
Maybe not losing 7 SCVs levels of bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reality is like, you know, sometimes you can look at, like, late game or mid game like this and try to analyze stuff, and it's like, it's probably just more important what happened early on, right? We would be in a completely different game. It's like one of those time travel movies, right? Like that first event that changed the whole course of the trajectory of everything in that timeline. A lot of times early game damage is like that in StarCraft II.
It does feel that way. Actually, we have a 2nd factory coming in from Cure. This is not something that I expected to see. Siege tank production out of 1 factory. The 2nd factory maybe for Widow Mines?
I think it's for double siege tank.
That would be crazy. I would love to see that.
I think so. I mean, what you can do is you can kind of chain the tanks together and just get like enough of a kind of kiting route away with the Marines that you know the Zerg ends up overextending, not appreciating how many tanks are actually in the place they're attacking into. I think I could be wrong.
Oh, I think you might be right. I see the tech lab on the production tab. I feel like that's probably on the factory.
Yeah, I think it's double factory tank.
Oh, that would actually be so cool because Reynor, he's going for a fast high tech. It's not quite as fast as it was previously. Remember, that was like a 7-minute Ultralisk Caver. This hive is finishing up around 8:30. But in theory, as we see the double siege tank production come online and Cure go for the 4th command center, when these Ultralisks get on the field, if Cure is just able to turtle with 2 factory siege tank, he might be able to take some very favorable trades tasteless.
Yeah, I think so. The Banshees are going to hit this hatchery. Not much is going to come from this. Zerg has not banked up a ton of gas, so you can't get that many Ultras just yet. So yeah, let's see how this thing kind of pans out. The Banshees are going to try to roam around here, get any drone kills they can get. And so far, so good.
Yeah, especially given that this kind of ultra style that Reynor is playing is typically kind of low drone. You see he was sitting at like 70-something for a moment before all these drones went down. Now he's working his way all the way back up to 77, but it's not like the Reynor that we've seen in the past. By the way, Spange is getting so much done. Even this hatchery might go down right now with these Marines. Some great plays by Cure. But yeah, Reynor reset down to 4 bases. The 5th hatch is being taken, but it's only 75 drones, and so he kind of, I feel like, is hedging some of his bets on being able to get something done with these ultras once they're on the field. And if the 2 siege tank, double siege tank production can actually shut this down, then suddenly Terran, you know, with all these extra income coming from mules on these 4 command centers, he might be able to just start outpacing Reynor a little bit. This isn't going to be the Reynor famously going up to like 90, 100 plus drones, right? This is more of him winding up for an attack.
Yeah, I think you're right. Zerg is getting insanely big right now. Like, this part of the map, I mean, I guess there's technically, because this map is so big, it's easy to forget until you really see it kind of stretch out. There are still so many, at least 2 more, I think, bases that could easily be taken here by Reynor. Maybe even 4 if you look at the very top left and the very bottom right. Terran, it's not always true, but a lot of times they have a hard time getting out of their quadrant. I don't know. Let's see how this goes here. Right now, you know, this is a situation where Cure still has to get a lot more, right, to get up in supply, where Reynor has deep pockets. He's at 2.2k minerals. The gas is building up, and it's not going to slow down other than the tech that Reynor needs to spend it on, right? So he's going to be up to 1k and eventually 2k gas.
3 more factories in production right now, Tasteless. Is he going to transition to something?
I'm actually glad I would have missed that entirely. I'm glad you pointed that out.
In 4 commands, is this going to be something like Ghost Mech? I don't know what to expect here. Ghost Mech has kind of fallen out of fashion, obviously, because the Ghost cost 50% more supply. It's now 3 supply instead of 2. But it is still going to be Ghost Mech. And Reynor, he does have deep pockets, yes. But it's still only 74 drones. He's going up to 75 now. The income differential actually isn't that significant. Cure is mining more gas right now. And with these extra command centers coming online, if he can just take 5 bases, I think he's happy to kind of sit in his base and do the old-fashioned exhaust play here against Reynor. Reynor has to be the one to attack into him.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to start to see here. He's going to try to make it uncomfortable to have anything else on the map. And this might be like Terran in one of those campaign missions where they have to survive for a half hour in order to advance to the next mission. This could certainly be one of those kind of games here. Zerg has got access to so many more bases on the map here. Oh, look at this.
Wow, Mission Impossible
look
Infester
at this.
right here.
It's a Tom Cruise Infester. Gonna go right in there.
So many lings. How many lings is this?
Now he's just gonna kind of let this lurk. I thought he might go into the main with that.
I kind of like it right here.
Like a Nidus in the main either. I know we mentioned Nidus a lot in this series, but like a Nidus in the main to draw the Terran back, and then you hit from every single side.
I think that's a great idea. I fully expect him, once Reynor, you know, fully gets all of his tech trees and takes all these additional bases, I think we're probably going to see him try and mix something like that in. It's a great way of pulling Terran players going Ghost Mech apart, just because it's a little bit, it's very wonky trying to maneuver around the map with that kind of army.
Yeah.
You know, you're not quite as mobile. You don't have like a bunch of bio except what we see on the screen right now that can really stim and chase it down. Reynor going to come in right now, take down 9 SCVs, and then likely retreat here with these Zerglings. Reynor with a very big bank. Almost 8,000 minerals in total in the bank, but Cure is just happy to basically be cost efficient. And one of the things that I really like that Reynor has done is that some of these initial rounds of lings that he has sent in where it seemed like they didn't trade out very efficiently, I think that Reynor wasn't even trying to have them trade out very efficiently, because I was remarking on his drone count being so low and how that kind of means that he needs to attack, but he recognized the situation, and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to attack into this. I'm not going to take the bait. You have a bunch of siege tanks. You have planetaries. You have command centers forming walls everywhere. I'm going to sack these lings. I'm going to make 20 more drones. Now he's on 94 workers, completely consuming his side of the map while unlocking his tech tree.
Yeah, and he's just going to drain every part of the map he's on of the resources. He's basically going to use the infinite money glitch.
Yeah.
Okay? He's going to have so much money that he doesn't know what to do with it.
I'm a little concerned for the gas income, though.
The gas income is going to be rough. Terran's going for nukes. And, like, I guess this is basically Cure abandoning a game where he's going to push. He's going to go for that kind of Maru-esque style exhaust play. We don't really talk about this anymore, other than, like, when kind of referencing StarCraft II history, but I guess this is going to be a bit of a throwback. Reynor's even... Oh, hold on a second. We got a huge attack coming in here now.
Ooh, very nice blinding clouds both on the bio and that tank, as Reynor's just going to be able to take down this planetary fortress. And then how much is he going to commit in here? Going to send a couple more Banelings. They are focused fire down before they connect with the bio, but I think from Reynor's perspective, just, you know, moving in, killing a planetary, forcing the lift off, getting a lot of damage done on those CCs is a win, by the way. Reynor's so ambitious, so aggressive with his expanding. We actually have a siege tank at the 12 o'clock sieging down this expand.
This is crazy. This basically means, minus what Terran already has, there's 2 spots that Terran can feasibly take, right? One is the hatchery being shelled by the tank. I don't know what the future of that is, but I think it's going to be hard for Reynor to actually hold that. The other one is the base that mirrors that position that's in the center right, about the 3 o'clock position here on the mini-map. Now, I don't know if, like, let's say he gets both of those bases. Is that enough?
It just depends on the cost efficiency, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I should really learn this. I don't know off the top of my head how much money's in a base.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I wish I could. Oh, I gotta go double check that. I don't know how many minerals are in an individual patch. Like, no, I know what the income should
actually,
be. But
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if you could math it out, that would be an interesting thing, right? Because usually TVZ exhaust play is the map is split evenly. And what happens is the Zerg starts to run out of money, and then Terran basically has one more base they fight over. They don't even need to be rushed to take it sometimes. And then they just sort of keep it, and you know, the Zerg is probably traded quite inefficiently in that game.
yeah, I mean, just Reynor has map control. And the fact that he's mining, I would love to see him transfer extra drones just to the top left and the bottom right and completely oversaturate those bases. In fact, looking at the minimap, I kind of think that might be what he's doing. There's way more drones in the top left than, like, the 9 o'clock position, for example, because that's basically going to give him 1 or 2 more bases of mining where he has that kind of buffer zone in terms of units lost, where he can just be, he can afford to be a little bit less efficient than the Terran. And, you know, historically, when Terrans used to do this exhaust play style that Maru was so exceptionally good at, it was usually the 5th command center. Like, if that one gets secured, then the game gets very difficult for the Zerg, because they would usually hit like 90 drones, and then they would go army after army and after army and just use their superior economy to try and break down the Terran. And if they failed, they would lose eventually. In this case, Reynor is playing a much more passive approach. And I think it's largely in part of the fact that he's been able to secure these bases. But now actually a very big attack over here at the 11 o'clock expansion. These Banelings, they're looking for connections. Not a lot of siege tanks here, and so this planetary is going to get taken out.
And this is all the Zerg has to do. This is like the win conditions for Zerg. Is now the problem is you're trading so cost inefficiently, right? But it kind of doesn't matter because you just have so much more money. So what Terran has to do is try to ideally, you know, fend that off and have a foothold there. Zerg wants to basically run in there, wipe out the command center, anything that's on the ground, and leave. We're getting a quick shot here from Mapu that's showing just how thinned out the mineral patches are at the bases that have been basically established as Terrans this game. So we're in this funny phase of this game where Terran's basically reaching and trying to take whatever resources he can, in this case from this base with the command center in the top right. And the Zerg's job is to come in there and try to bite the Terran's head off every time and take out as much as he can. And that's exactly what we're going to see here. He's going to come in, he's going to flood this area, he's going to take out not just the stuff on the low ground, but the tanks, in this case, on the high ground. Doesn't get the command center. I think he's looking at this and saying, oh wait, there's not as much here as I thought. But he doesn't want to overextend. I thought he might go to the planetary up there, but I guess that's not really required of him.
Yeah, I think for Reynor, you just want to prevent Cure from taking one more expansion. You can let him sit on the bases that he's got right now. He is so entrenched in that position that it's kind of hard to unseat him from it. But as long as Reynor is able to successfully deny an additional expansion from Cure, I feel like that is a win condition, but you got to be careful. You can't be completely wild with we have another Infestor right here. Just I wonder whatever happens to that Infestor. It's still there. Look at the minimap. When we switched to Reynor's vision, there was this little green pip in some revealed area. It's still in the triangle base of Cure. I think it's just chilling there, man. I hope we get to see it come in for action again as Reynor once again attacks at this 11 o'clock base. Cure is going for a double expansion. He's also taking the 3 o'clock. And are we actually going to have those Banelings connect here on this planetary?
I think he's just going to go for it.
Yeah. Are we going to have the Infestor get the fungal up? Oh, no! Oh, man, that was so much buildup. That
was insane.
That Infestor's been there since like the 10-minute mark or something. And it didn't even get the fungal off. I'm so sad.
It's been hibernating there for like half of the game. There's 110 lings hatching, by the way. So what needs to happen now is this base has to be attacked, the one that we're looking at right there. So Zerg needs to just get more out here. Reynor, for a second, dipping below 10k minerals. He's almost to 8k gas. Now, by the way, Terran has a lot of minerals, but when his stuff is wiped out, it's going to refill a lot slower. Zerg, this is a game where literally every base on the map has been taken, by the way. On a map where there's just a lot of bases.
Yeah, looking at the mini-map, the bottom right expansion, which is one that Cure should be able to contest, is starting to mine out. The low mineral patches have already been exhausted there, and you see Reynor is 14 drones mining from this top left base. Not a lot mining from the bases that are very safely on his side. So he's doing a very smart job of that, and now pushing in once again here at the 12 o'clock. These Banelings, a little bit inefficient, but again, you don't need to be cost efficient here as Reynor. That unit loss count, it can widen a little bit as long as you're able to keep pushing Terran off this base, but I must say, Cure is actually making some pretty significant progress here, Tasteless. Yes, Reynor was able to get some more damage done at the 11 o'clock, but Cure has secured this base over here at 3.
Yeah, I thought he was going to devote a little bit more energy into trying to wipe this out. It's kind of crazy to see that there's actually a push happening down here. So the question is, how many Lings and Banes is it going to take to crack this position? There should be enough here for Reynor. Now, both of them are plummeting in supply and then spiking right back up. I guess he only has Lings and Banes?
Yeah, it feels like he's trying to go for some kind of relatively low commitment. I mean, Lings are very expendable, although that mineral bank is now down to 7k.
Lings are like literally the most expendable thing in the game. But, he needs to basically deny these bases. Like, if these mules just drink up all the resources in this location here, maybe Cure can actually, stretch this game out long enough that it, somehow with way less resources. Basically, I guess if you math it out. Actually, hold on a second. Okay, so if we were to cut this map in half, I guess this would mean that Zerg would have been, let's just say that they keep what they have right now. Zerg would have just been up by 1 base.
Yeah, but
right?
Like, look at this. This expansion over here at like the 6 o'clock position, I don't think he's mined from it at all. The minerals.
Yeah, you might be right. That actually almost might be like a giant placeholder.
Yeah, he's just saving it. It's a safety net, right?
Yeah.
It's his rainy day fund is all these minerals he's got down at 6 and at 9.
That's the piggy bank he breaks open later on.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's deliberate or not. Sometimes
it
good games
certainly is.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps oversaturating these bases in the corners, and it's not mining from the ones on his side as we have Reynor once again breaking in. This is a much more committed push with Ultras, with Corruptors, and it's actually pretty cost efficient. Many doors going down, but as soon as those ghosts enter the fray, of course, with snipes coming in, yes, Cure, his supply did dip down quite a bit, but I mean, Snipe, even though the Ghost does cost 3 supply, they are still very, very good units. And I think we're heading down the path where if Reynor, although he is attacking it again, actually a pretty good fungal catching 4 or 5 of those Ghosts. They are going to get taken down, could not lift into the medevac because the fungal had not yet expired. Finally, Reynor is going to be able to push Cure back from this base.
Yeah, and this was a very juicy base to wipe out. I mean, these resources, one of the only places that Terran can actually, collect from. Is he going to get this? He should try to target. Are you okay? Yeah. No. Yes. No.
He's just trying to make us look like fools casting this.
He's just throwing the casters off now. He's going to attack it again here, and I think Terran might have thought that they were more in control of this position than they actually were. The Hellbat, by the way, the mech has been an interesting transition here as we've kind of just seen full-on factory units. And I guess the barracks are basically for ghosts now, right?
I mean, Ghost Mech has been the supreme late-game TVZ composition for basically ever. It's significantly weaker now that the Ghost costs additional supply. But you can still see Kira really making this work right now. Reynor is getting some jabs in, but his bank is already down to 4,000 minerals. The cost efficiency of Ghost with snipes is just unreal, and Kira has so many orbitals, which kind of play in two roles, right? It allows your SCV count to go way lower because you can use mules to mine minerals instead of supply units, and you have a bigger army, which makes you more cost efficient. But also, it's a really nice fallback plan for when those planetaries get taken out. You're not really missing too much mining time over there. At the 3 o'clock base, you just kind of lift up one of those macro orbitals that you've got and you plant it right back down.
Another attack's going to come in over here. The question is there enough? You see at least, what, 3 Ultras coming in here. There's enough tanks that it's hard for the Ultras to actually really get in and do much. Now, look at the resources, because we finally hit a really pivotal moment in this game. Cure is bouncing off of 0, basically. So he's at, like, what, 400 now? He can spend and hit the floor. Reynor has dropped by a lot, but he hasn't hit that floor yet. And the question in the next minute or two here is going to be, can Reynor bust through and force a liftoff before his funds basically also hit the floor? If they both get down to hovering above 0, which, by the way, we're getting pretty close to, Cure, I think, then takes the lead, basically, if that makes sense.
All right, another attack coming in, but there's so many siege tanks and liberators here that it basically cannot be broken. Reynor's going to have to retreat once more, and
I mean, here's the thing. Cure is actually pushing out far enough that now he's starting to hit these bases that are extremely important. Like, if this is going to sound weird, but bear with me while I just try to flesh out this idea. The bases the closest to Terran, the Zerg ideally would want to have sucked up the resources from the fastest. Because, like, you know, some base that's deep in the Zerg's territory, Terran's never going to expand there. They might be able to push their army out there and hit that. They're never going to have a base there, right? Terran can't really outpost, you know, in this game. They can't have, like, a base that's all the way on the other side of the map. So now we're seeing both the top left and the bottom right get poked out, which means that the walls are closing in here on Reynor. Their income is, as far as banked, is roughly the same, although here has a lot more gas. We saw Broodlord tech made, and a lot of times when we see this, the game is really more about keep away here. Now, if he can hit all these tanks sieged up, that's going to be so good.
Yeah, this is, I think, 12 Broodlords now coming in, but with Snipe, at least one of them able to get picked off right there. Reynor trying to trade these volleys for siege tanks. And this is a very big investment. Ultras are going to come down here to the bottom right, try and take down this planetary fortress. If Reynor can stop mining from this bottom right base, even though it is mostly mined out, that will be a big boon for him, as the fight is just continuing in this protracted battle at the top left.
Oh, he's hemorrhaging a couple Ultras here.
Still lost only one Broodlord thus far, but the gas bank is so scary right now.
So here's the problem. The roles have kind of reversed now. And now it's really Reynor has to get in here and do something. I don't know if this is happening fast enough. Oh, that was a sick little fungal.
That was a huge fungal being able to kill those ghosts. That's the ghost count being reset down to what, 3 over here in the top left is going to give those Broodlords a lot more room to maneuver. I mean, these are the kind of plays that Reynor needs if he wants to be able to close this game out. We still have 1,600 gas here in this high-yield Vespene Geyser.
So this is
4K down there.
So he has one full base. By the way, because Terran occupies this position here, the base that's to the top right of this is no longer a target you can hit. So there's so much pressure building up here at the top left. And, I mean, it's, you know, we were talking about, like, maybe the win conditions for Cure, he just mines from the bases he's got. I think now it's almost more dire here for Reynor. By the way, with the gas the way it is, like, Reynor has a lot of minerals. but you can really only make lings with that, right? Spores, stuff like that.
Well, these Lings and Ultras have actually gotten a pretty good amount of damage done over here on the first side of the map, but yeah, it's a very difficult position for Zerg. You can see the units loss count. The gap is starting to widen, especially as units like Vipers go down, with gas being really the limiting resource right now for Reynor. That is a very expensive loss, and so are Ultras, right? I mean, the Ling run-bys, they're great, but usually the Lings, you want to trade them for gas, basically. You want to do exactly this and take down the siege tanks and stop the mining of gas from Cure, because gas is usually king in late games like this one. It is a 16k resource advantage. I want to say, just by feel, that Reynor has probably mined about that much more than Cure in the top left and the bottom right. You're maybe pretty close to it, but the gas bank is just so concerning.
Yeah, it really is. I feel like Cure is kind of... This is such an impressive game. I think he might have done it. Because now, like, any Broodlord that's shot or an Ultralisk or anything, it's like, that's kind of it. I mean, you're going to get some gas in this game, but you're never going to make... It doesn't matter if you have, like, 2 armies of maxed out control groups of Lings. You're not going to be able to come in here and break down some of these positions. Now, the other thing, and this is just sort of a feature of the Terran race, is that you don't have to be sending SCVs to mine here. You can just land mules and drink up the resources super fast. You have a way to get resources that is just much more efficient than the Zerg has.
Yeah, and it also plays into the cost efficiency of Terran armies like this one, is because they can go lower in worker count but still maintain a mineral income with those macro orbitals, then suddenly they have more army, and just naturally, if you have more army on the ground, then usually the trades are going to go better for you because you have more firepower, right? And so Reynor, he's reloading on, I think, 8 more Broodlords. I'm not sure how many have fallen just yet from the initial 12. I want to say it's only just a couple. And so this is a lot of broods now, Tasteless. We do have a significant group of ghosts roaming around the map. I believe some are over here by the top left. So Snipe is still in the cards here for Cure, but this is a lot. That's like 20 broods. That is a lot of Broodlords.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's weird. Like, Broodlords are like the least mobile thing in the whole game. And like, the problem is, like, I mean, this is just all devoted to this, the remaining unit, minerals, excuse me, in this location. So Reynor's still got 1 base mining. But at this point in time, Cure is maxed out. He's able to remake pretty quickly. Oh man, these Broodlords are doing quite a bit.
They're one-shotting Thors, I think, at this count. I've never... This is so many broods, Tasteless. I feel like the cost efficiency is starting to go a little bit more in Reynor's favor over the last couple of minutes. I mean, there is a very large gap to close.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, but these have been some nice trades with these broods. We're almost at the point where, from Cure's perspective, like, do you want some Vikings to try and zone these away? Do you just stay on pure Thor Ghost as your anti-air here? It's tricky because you almost never see the Broodlord count. Like, they're one-shotting Thors. You never see it get this high.
It's almost comical. I mean, what is Terran? Terran is pulling in more resources, right?
I think
at this
it's
moment
starting to go back into Reynor's favor. Reynor, I believe, still has about 5,000 gas that he can mine from the 3 bases in the center left of the map. And so he's slowly starting to build back that gas bank, and he has been so cost efficient. He's basically using, I mean, he is losing some gas units, but it's not like the Ling floods are getting taken out like before, right? So he's now up to 6,000 minerals. He has surpassed Cure in the bank department. He might be pulling this one back.
We need to see what units are in the game that kind of have endless value. Like Broodlords have that, Infestors because they can cast spells. I don't know about this attack here from Cure.
Yeah, that's a good fungal.
Either he knows this exactly or he doesn't. Now, how many Hellbats do you need to melt the Broodlings? I'm wondering here.
More than he has.
Yeah, more than he's got.
I see 2 Hellbats right now in this army. The rest is just Thors.
Well, he's starting to push in here. And, you can kind of ignore the Spore Crawlers now when you get close enough. And he's going to basically try to close in on these Broodlords. Now, in Neural Parasite, I almost forgot this was an ability in the game until this just came down here. This is an insane fight. Is it actually going to work? I mean, the neural parasite sort of runs out.
It runs out, but I feel like it did its job. We lost maybe 6 or 7 Broodlords so far here for Reynor. herO's remaxing, his gas bank basically depleted. These Broods taking so much damage, and also a lot of Infestors going down, even just to that one Liberator. And we have 7 Ultras and a ton of Lings on the remax. Keep in mind, the Hellbat count for herO is very low. He has been focused on dealing with the 20 plus Broods that were on the map a moment ago. So a massive swarm of Ling and 13 Ultras might be enough to clean up the army from herO and win this game.
I still can't tell who's going to win this. It's still very, very hard to say. You can see the minerals are not going up that fast. I mean, this map is going to be a desert pretty soon here as far as a place to gather resources. The Ultras are going to come back. We have a couple Thors and Hellbats coming to march in here. He kind of clogs up this ramp over here. Now, the Broodlings are basically supplementing what the Lings would normally do. And all you need to do is keep these Ultras going here. herO is dropped, I think. Okay, I think that Reynor can win now.
Maybe, but he has no mining right now. The army supplies are still relatively equal, and what we see from herO on the screen isn't everything. He's still making more Ghosts, he's adding in more Hellbats and more Thors. Okay, I feel like Reynor might have done this, but yeah, there's no mining.
There's basically no income right now. There's probably 1 or 2 SCVs or drones getting some stuff here. And remember that, you know, the win conditions are you have to destroy their buildings. So can herO force him to overextend? God, you know, there's just enough Hellbats here. This is such an insane game.
Wait, we don't have like anything to deal with this Liberator, right? Okay, there's only 1 Liberator, so it's not that big of an issue.
Corruptors.
Yeah, there's the Liberator's on like 1 HP over there too, but I mean, Liberators are so valuable in a situation like this one where you're trying to use them to focus down the Ultras. Reynor's gonna have to distance mine over here from the bottom right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's in some of these bases, it's not even worth the hatchery to put it there. I mean, it's in some ways you're almost trying to remove whatever they have. Oh my God, those could be 4 Hellbats. That's actually a pretty big deal. Bring those back. Yeah, it's almost worth it. It's like you're trying to. Sometimes you want the resources just so they don't have it, if that makes sense. So this base, which was basically the savings account, so to speak, here for Reynor, that he was deliberately not mining from for most of this game, he's now taking the resources from that. So we basically have like these bases like this one where there's like, okay, there's 2 mineral patches here.
There's a mule worth of minerals.
A mule is going to wipe this out. And the game has, surprisingly, it's quieted down. This is so interesting. He's going to scan and see this. Now, I actually believe top left is the most resource-rich location on the map.
That's exactly what I was going to say. herO's base still has considerable minerals left. I want to say, like, just eyeballing it, it feels like maybe 1.5k, but this base here in the very top left corner might have 2k plus minerals left.
By the way, the makeup of the Zerg army right now, it's much harder for the Zerg to attack into the Terran than it is for the Terran to attack into the Zerg. Siege tanks dealing damage first, Ghosts with snipe, you know, Hellbats to kind of absorb. We have 1 Broodlord being made, by the way.
And 1 Ultra fighting 4 Hellbats.
Yeah.
The game has suddenly turned so scrappy.
Look how bad the Hellbats are versus the Ultra, by the way.
Oh God, run from those Ghosts.
Yeah, well, the Ghosts are, you know, they have the ability to completely change the entire dynamic of the game, right? With a couple good snipes. Oh, I think he's accidentally long distance mining gas. Or no, I guess he actually needs gas. I stand corrected.
Actually building, I think he needs it so much. He's like, okay, there's a lot of gas here. I can't long distance mine this. I need to mine it as quickly as possible. It's worth the hatch.
We weren't really paying attention to the gas geysers for a while here.
So the hatchery for Reynor is going to finish in the top left.
I don't even know if it's worth having Hellbats here.
I think just anything you can do, because these small numbers of gas and mineral income are so meaningful.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Any trade. Like, these small engagements are actually very impactful. Like, this Ultra going down.
I almost punched my headset off. Sorry.
I was wondering what's going on. But 11 Ghosts. I feel like the only way, I don't mean to be so pessimistic about the outlook here for Reynor, but just the army compositions right now I feel are hugely
Well,
in favor of Cure. He needs fungals on the ghosts, or I don't think there's a way to win. I don't see other path to victories.
And we have some Broodlords made here. Now, the Broodlords make it a lot more annoying to try to push into this. Now, there are a crazy amount of Hellbats here. He has 32 Hellbats. This could be a record for me with how many Hellbats I've seen in a game. He's going to try to come here, and the Hellbats might be high enough in numbers that they're going to melt the Broodlings. And if the Broodlings get melted and the Ghosts can get the snipes on the altars, I think the game's over.
It's a very nice fungal on those Hellbats to start off the engagement. Oh, the EMP catches all the Infestors. Only one of them is left. It gets sniped down, and Cure is inching closer and closer to this base. Reynor might have one last hurrah with these ultras. He is charging in with absolutely everything that he has got, but the firepower of the Terran army is a little bit too much. GG, and in 39 minutes and 53 seconds, Cure is going to close it out with a 3-1.
That was the game. That was so fun. It was really hard to follow as it started to like really slow down. You know what I mean? It's like, because each of the bases, there's like this a weird amount of minerals here. Okay, there's like 2 patches that were kind of ignored. He pulled the SCVs too soon. So hard to follow who's going to close that out. Probably the best game of the tournament. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, it's either that or, what was it, Classic Beyond was another epic game. Yeah. But this was just crazy. I mean, it went from 10K plus banks, at least on Reynor's side. I think Cure got pretty close to it at one point, down to the scrappy nothingness of like fighting over just like the couple hundred minerals left in the corners. And Cure just barely able to close it out with a Ghost Mech composition, which is considerably weaker on this patch.
And it was all on the back of just staying back, turtling on the 2 factories like we saw, getting a lot of tanks, and basically just running the clock.
Yeah.
And then over time, you reach into this corner. You move into that side of the map. And Zerg has a really hard time with like the really slow, drawn-out push. You know, Terran have the ability to kind of retract from certain positions. With even like the orbital can lift off. Or, and yeah, it finally came down to that top left base after basically every resource on the map was mined out.
Yeah, that was just a wild game. Great way to close out the upper bracket quarterfinals.
You know what I want to do to recreate that game? I want to do it on the Archon Studio tabletop miniatures game. How many of those boxes would you need to recreate that game? Hundreds. Pre-order them now. Or no, you can't pre-order them now. Pre-order them when it's time. You know what to do. Thank you guys for sponsoring RSL.
What a segue.
Because of them, we were able to double our prize pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, get your wallets out. Look at the back of their credit card. We need those 3 numbers, okay?
Call to your mom in the other room.
Tell mom and dad that you need to know the 3 numbers on the back of the credit card, okay? Because nothing's free, guys. This tournament costs money to put on. We need your support. Consider signing up for our Patreon at patreon.com/ReviveSC2. You could be an SCV. Those are important until the mules mattered most at the end of the game. You could be an immortal. That didn't play a role in that last game either.
No,
but
there is
what is there, a Siege Tank membership? Ziggy's nodding. Okay.
Yeah, you could be a Siege Tank. Siege Tank's probably MVP from that one. Remember, that was like a fast ultra build, man.
The tanks, tiers, what are the highest ones? Mothership. Okay, that doesn't help for the TVZ. What's this? The Thor. There's a Thor class.
There you go.
On the Patreon.
You're a Terran player at home. You're like, oh man, Cure with his Thors. I wish I had those Thors. You can be a Thor.
I know what you're thinking at home. You're thinking, Thor, that's the big robot unit. I love that unit. Well, you could be that on the Patreon too. It's a pretty penny. Also, guys, check out our RSL merchandise. If you're a Patreon supporter, you get 20% off. That's right. 20% off. Not just the RSL merchandise, but all the stuff at the tastelessthreads.com merch shop.
I must say, Tasteless, you're a hell of a salesman.
That's right, man. I'm in a great mood after that game. We ended on a high note.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Here's our schedule. We're going to be on tomorrow and the day after. We have 3 days off. Then we bang out another 4 days of RSL. We're going to crown our very first ever RSL champion. We had a kind of limited amount of time to put this together before EWC. And I don't know. Yeah. That's it.
It's been a lot of fun. Of course, we're going with a double elimination bracket here in the playoffs. We just wrapped up the first 4 matches over the last 2 days with Classic, Clem, SHIN, and Cure advancing to the winner semifinals. But for the losers, they are not out just yet. They only fall to the lower bracket. That will be Byun, Cham, herO, Reynor. I believe that's actually being played tomorrow on the 5th of July. So you want herO versus Reynor. I'm looking at that, and I am so excited. But also, Cham has been playing so well. He got first place in a very tough group.
I just realized it's the 4th of July.
Yeah, it is the 4th of July.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Go America.
we gotta go do a barbecue right now.
We gotta start grilling hot dogs right now.
Anyway, yeah, Byun, Cham, herO, Reynor tomorrow. Classic, Clem, SHIN, Cure.
I guess for this 4th of July, that last game did bring the fireworks, did it not?
Ziggy's rolling his eyes right now.
Yeah, Ziggy loved that joke. He loves jokes like that. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We've had some issues with the internet.
It's weird.
This is a new. We're basically we built a studio here. We just got internet like hooked up here like 10 days ago. Or
we got the best
maybe
internet.
Maybe it was like 15 days ago. We have the best plan, but for some reason it was like dropping. It happened more yesterday. Anyways, that can be fixed. We're gonna have the, I don't know, the internet repairman. What do you call him? He's gonna come down and look at this. So sorry about that for
the people that
dropping.
are much more tech savvy than us.
Yeah. Yeah, the internet warlocks are going to come down here and see if they can fix that. But so sorry if we dropped once or twice here today as well. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you tomorrow for the next day of RSL. We love you. Bye-bye.